welcome to MarcelCulture.
Hey! no pressure. It's only a charity live stream for a guy. Come on, you can do it. Oh, we're there.
Come on, Phil. Okay, go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Ding ding. Da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. Another one of them. Da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Roman came back at SummerSlam in a shirt saying OTC. Da-na. Monday's Raw was the best of the year. At least that's how it felt to me. NXT made a splash for the Great American Bash. A-Dub's got the feeling back. The wrestling's going great, but today's about our mates, so I'll sing it for the intro. It's Marcel Laviolette. He's the kind of guy that you want to root for. Marcel Laviolette. He's in need of donation, so let's get him some more. Marcel Laviolette. What's happened to him hasn't been the best thing. Marcel Laviolette. But he's brought us all together to talk wrestling.
Hey,
I tell you what.
Prince Hamflett over here.
Oh, we'll keep that. Thank you very much, Phil.
I wish you would shoot my dad.
Yeah, I wish you would shoot my son too. Hello, and welcome.
I'm happy with you where you are, actually.
Yeah, we're all good.
Yeah, that's good.
Welcome to MarcelCulture.
Hey.
I'm Michael Hamflett from WrestleCulture, and I'm joined by Phil Chambers from WrestleCulture, Josh Brown from WrestleCulture, and Adam Nicholas from WrestleCulture. 3 in that
He's
intro.
even come in brown as well. Look at him. Look at that.
Hey, I'm nothing if not dedicated to the
On
bit.
brand. I like it.
John Brown himself. We're going to discuss everything that's happened this week in wrestling and a few other things that we will get to shortly, as you may now be aware. But first, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube for daily wrestling podcasts, where we not only do WrestleCulture, but we also preview and review Raw, SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. I've almost missed it out. The show formerly known as NXT 2.0. We hold wrestler interviews, have roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. But yes, if you've somehow missed all the socials and everything we've been doing to promote this, today is MarcelCulture, a very special edition. And Phil, would you like to explain that to everybody that's already viewing what today is all about?
I can attempt to, yeah. Marcel Laviolette, long-term viewer, donator, chatter thing, just general
Shut that thing.
fan hanger about her.
Wow. He's left the chat.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Oh.
It's over.
I don't
It's
blame
over.
you. I don't blame you, myself.
He started up this GoFundMe because his childhood home was destroyed in the hurricane, and we thought we'd do something nice and kind of give back to our community. So all of the donations from this live stream, all of the proceeds that we get, are going to Marcel's GoFundMe later, and we will match everything up to £300 as well. So we'll add on another 300 quid when we get to the end. However, YouTube takes 40% of super chats, and I couldn't set it up through the YouTube charity thing. So if you can, please
Losers.
use the donation link that is in the description and in the pinned chat to donate instead. It goes through Streamlabs, but we get 100% of that, so all of that will be put on the GoFundMe after the stream. So use that. We will still see the comments. You can still ask us questions or say whatever you want in them, and we will read them out and answer your questions as best we can.
Yeah.
But use that instead of Super Chat if you can. There you go.
Yeah, there are a few super chats coming through that we will get to shortly. But yeah, this was obviously, we got the message out as quick as we could and appreciate it's a bit different than how we would do it normally. Yeah, the link's everywhere on the chat. So, but for people that wouldn't normally do it, go there. Thank you very much for the donations that you put into your, like, super chats, as always. But today
Yeah, the Super Chats will still go to the GoFundMe, by the way, but it'll just be 60% of them because YouTube takes 40%. So
Everything, every bit of money that is made on this live stream is going that way, apart from the little bits that YouTube might try and steal off us. Is
Yeah.
basically it.
Thanks to you.
And even that, I'm working.
Goddamn
Even
thing.
that, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'll give him one of these.
It seems no better place starting with a comment from Marcel himself, by the way.
There
Hello,
we go.
Marcel. Glad you're able to join us for this live. It says, let's give some love to Mr. Mark Lee Willis, who was the one who got the idea bouncing around during a conversation we had. Thank you, brother. Absolutely shout out to Mark Lee Willis for that. I do remember this. I felt like I saw it springing to life in the chat on last week's WrestleCulture. So, what a great community, which is put over by David Esposito, who also dropped in to say, ain't no community like the What Culture community. Much love to Marcel. Keep your chin up, brother. Couldn't agree more, David. And we've got an email from you from yesterday that we're going to get through. There's a bit of a talking point later on. Eric Vasquez has popped in with a super chat. We will definitely get back to this because I think one of our panel might specifically enjoy this. Hello all. I'd like to hear some Mick Foley chat. Favourite moments, favourite character work, matches. Who do you think you thrive getting over today?
Well, hello.
Hoping for a good turnout and a better fortune for our fellow What Culture at Marcel. Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much.
What about famous Mick Foley fan Josh Brown, though?
I'm sat right next
Oh,
to
no,
him.
that's who I was talking about. Yeah. Mark Lee Willis has then followed up to say, I appreciate, this is lush, this. I appreciate that, Marcel. We have to lift each other up, don't we? Especially considering the current climate that's happening all over the world. Couldn't agree more, Mark. And,
I think, but listen, if we're going to donate some money, you can say shit.
oh, come on.
You drop them
we
shits.
swear?
You drop them shits,
Live
Michael.
now, they ain't gonna
I thought
stop.
I was the dad in the room.
No.
Can we swear, Dad? Can we?
Yeah, you can.
There's too much shit in the world. And that's what this chat's saying.
Well done, son.
Speaking of, actually, no, that's not the case anymore. Speaking of my best friend, Matt Rains.
Hello.
Happy Friday, everyone. Marcel, keep your head up, brother. Donate if you're able to. Help out an absolute legend. Cheers, guys. Live Legends Lounge coming soon. Stay tuned. That means Matt Rains is drinking in real time. Not when he
my
normally
God.
uploads the pint pick from another day and
At
confuses
9
them.
a.m.
Yeah.
As opposed to drinking in yesterday. He's drinking right now.
Matt Rains is my best friend, but he's also apparently the best friend of somebody else around this table because he just fired back with extra $10 for a wild Josh Brown appearance.
Hey, you see?
You're the
I
draw,
told
Josh.
you.
You're the
I told
draw.
you I was bringing you on for nothing else than to just throw money at you.
Matt Rains is just trying to make up for saying that
You know,
he
you
preferred
can-
Scott the
You
other
can
week.
move it,
So
you can move it towards you, Josh.
trying to make good.
You're going to hurt your back, but bring it towards you.
Oh, I know. I
Just
feel
move it to
bad.
you.
for Stealing from Philly. I don't want to steal from the people.
He's not even doing anything, man. Look at him.
I'm looking for the donation chat.
He's playing on Tetris.
So I've just realised, because we're having to use, because we're idiots and it wasn't working this morning. Thanks, bosses. Or, well, higher ups.
Here we go.
Security.
Bam.
Someone's hovering over
Who
the
needs
buttons right
infinite
now. Like
security?
this.
Idiots. So I've used my laptop over there, and now I've got nothing to read the donations off. So I might have
Yeah.
to nip and get another laptop so I can see this easier.
Okay.
'cause
Well,
it's not
that's
showing up in
That's
my
fine.
phone.
That's okay.
Got,
So
well,
I'm gonna go grab that.
We'll
and then
allow
we're
it.
going to talk about Mick Foley.
Yes.
Not forgetting about that goddamn comment.
Well, actually, to be fair, he's going to beat you to it
Well, there
because,
you go,
I
Josh
mean,
can take over.
Josh loves a good bit of
I
Mick.
do as well. All
Huh?
three of his characters, if not more.
Look at this
if
guy.
not more, if anything.
Do I
He's
get
like, if not more, Dad.
yeah, Dad, please. Do I
It's-
get
it's three.
do I get a donation if I can name them all?
That's not how this works, Josh. All the donations are for Marcel, you greedy, greedy pig.
Marcel, do Marcel. Just, you know.
That's why he's turned up. He
Yeah.
thought, what, we're getting paid off this today.
Michael's already paid me my fee for this, so don't worry.
it, yeah.
And it was absolutely exorbitant. So,
Sky high. Supposed to be taking the kids on holiday tomorrow. Cancelled.
Yep.
I've had to pay. I've had to take money from one Josh and give to another.
Yep, he's
Yep,
taken me
I was-
instead.
Yep, I was meant to go to Chicago. That's off now. Thanks, Josh Brown.
I
Enjoy,
quite like-
Marcel. Enjoy.
I quite liked when Josh and Phil were there because it looked like, you know, when you'd see like a clip from like one of the Live Aid videos where there's like pop stars sharing one microphone. It's like you need a head, like holding the headphone and doing the earnest face. Yeah, I don't know if I was more of a Cactus Jack guy.
Yeah. I really feel like I've won a competition to come on this. Like I'm a kid who's gone on 50-50 or something. Or
Yeah?
what talk shows do kids like? Catchphrase.
You're,
Talk show.
you're asking.
Famous talk show catchphrase. Is
You're
this what?
asking.
They're not watching Parkinson, are they?
Is this what the youth thinks a talk show is now?
yeah, I think
Like because
so.
TikTok is an entire conversation. What's that long form documentary? The Weakest Link.
Josh accidentally telling on himself, yeah. Calling catchphrase a talk show.
I love a good film. This week I enjoyed the EastEnders Omnibus. A couple of quick bit of housekeeping here. Mark Lee Willis. Phil is back on the laptop, you can see here. It won't allow me to donate on the other thing, but Phil is going to look into that, I'm sure. He's let us know.
I'll definitely be getting some through. You have to use PayPal for it. It won't take credit cards or something. So PayPal, maybe that's it.
Sorry,
go.
guys. But again, as we did point out at the start of the stream, ideally we want to send you to that other thing for the 100%, but if you absolutely can't, we welcome the donation.
Yeah, we'll still get 60% of it.
For your super chats. Tactical Penguin has been on to say, afternoon lads, bloody hell, it's a few years. If only Willie and Sid were here to make things even more chaotic. Got an idea for a segment. Oh boy. 5-star review of Marcel's choosing, perhaps. I'm not against it,
Yeah.
but
With
we
some
did,
caveats, maybe.
we did abandon the 5-star review for a very good reason. That we noticed that the more that were coming in, the more that we're related to a very different time in pro wrestling. That it felt more than ever that we needed to eradicate. That's why the 5-star review went away and was replaced with something far more wholesome, like the Raw Riddle.
Equally
yeah.
as good, I'm told.
If,
Doesn't
if
look
Ma-
like it from on the other side of that camera.
if Marcel, of course, has any particular moments, and this goes for everybody today as well, if there's anything they want us to have a chat about, reminisce about, all that sort of good stuff, we will do the best we can. Kenny Osprey has been on. Happy Friday, lads. When are we getting a full In the Summertime release from Nicholas? Bonus points if it's the Shaggy version. Also, love to Marcel. Hope you managed to get everything sorted soon.
Well, you nearly got it by accident on one of the... was it the Raw review? You nearly got it by accident because I had obviously made this clip of me doing Mungo Jerry's, and then I'd stolen that video from us doing it and then put the music together with it in the summertime. It was all good. And then we were in a bit of a rush last week because of reasons. Turns out working in a company is quite complicated sometimes. And I had quickly put the footage on and like exported it all and sent it away. And when I got home to finally upload it onto YouTube, not upload it, but set it live, there was a thing saying like copyright claim. And I was like, what the? Why is there a copyright claim? It's just Hamflett and Wilborn, I think, talking on a... Well, it turns out I had left the clip of audio of Mungo Jerry on the same timeline where I had just put the new stuff. So for 20 seconds, in between them two talking really intensely about Raw, or maybe the preview, Raw preview, I think it was, he like randomly tapped his elbow and then just just started playing over the top of them. Who, because obviously in real time they didn't have any view of this, it just carried on. And it was the weirdest thing, and it nearly ruined my day. I'm not gonna lie to you. But,
Look, if there was ever a reason for a video to get demonetized, I would have enjoyed it for that.
That's true. That's true.
It would have presumably played on a loop, right? So it would have kept getting double and treble Mungo just for the duration of the...
Yeah, probably, aye. And it wouldn't have been great. But we managed to cut out. I managed to find a way. It was not quick, I'll tell you that much.
In a bit of a flashback, I'm trying to catch people's chats between the super chats. Sometimes they scroll by a bit fast here, but I did see Matt Rains throwing back to the old 5-star review days going, I wish I was Nicholas's coffee cup. And that was the reason why we had to.
I see. When Sidgwick isn't around, I'm suddenly good enough. Is that right? Huh?
Brian, shout out Brian, our SmackDown Photoshop correspondent saying the Raw riddle gives me the creeps.
Gives me the creeps.
Eric Vasquez pointing out that Josh is in the OG Mankind colour. Also, next donation stream for Nicholas's mic to use when he's on the other side. So
What's that?
Says,
We do.
over there.
One day we're going to get a microphone, and I'm not going to tell you when. And then it's going to really mess with everybody's head when I'm over on that side of the desk, and suddenly a very crystal clear voice comes to like tell you off or something.
Right before we recorded, I just asked Josh what he might have seen from this week's wrestling in order to not put him on the spot. I'm going to be a massive hypocrite and put him on the spot right now. Because we did stay away from it, but let's stay back. So Eric's given you one there. Mankind.
Yeah.
Can you name the three faces of Foley?
It's Mankind.
You take your time. Don't rush.
Mankind, Cactus Jack,
Yep.
Dude Love.
Piece of piss. See, and that's
Easy.
the very basement of his knowledge. Start asking Josh much more difficult questions.
Yeah, really go into your bag of wrestling and wrestling questions because he needs to be tested. He's smarter than him.
Probably extend it to like the 8 faces of Foley at this point.
Well,
Yeah.
Like Santa.
Yeah. Santa's definitely a shoot one, yeah.
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley himself.
why don't we quit while I'm ahead?
No. It's not about you, Josh. I've said this at the start. It's about Marcel today.
It is, I know, I'm so sorry.
It's not called Josh Culture.
Yet.
Right?
Yet.
So I'm going to try and keep a list of the talking points because I don't want to betray anybody's today. Steve Nikolakopoulos has been on, Edward Shiraz hands. Good day, handsome gents. Marcel, keep your head up, legend. Hope the donations help. How come you guys didn't talk about the Spirit Squad era when talking about Triple H? Goated faction, kinda. We'll just do this one now. Any happy memories of the Spirit Squad around this table?
None at all. I was not watching at this point. The first time I saw Dolph Ziggler, he was Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
He was not Nikki, was he?
Nikki, yeah. Along with Kenny and Mikey
and
and all the
I
rest,
saw it in the post. I think one of the few things I've seen properly is DX putting them in a box and sending them literally back to developmental.
Yeah. 5 men, 5 cheerleaders squashed into a storage
You remember
crate.
the cheerleaders, Josh?
Yeah, I thought it was so strange to have Triple H team up with the Boogeyman and Eddie Guerrero for Spirit Squad. That's who was that faction, right? I have no idea who this is.
nailed it,
Literally no idea.
Spirit Squad were 5 male cheerleaders, which this came post Bring It On. So you were like, oh, cheerleading's actually goated and really hard. But through Vincent McMahon, I was like, cheerleaders, blokes, There's 5 of them. And there was only 2 of DX. And at this point, Triple H and Shawn Michaels were well into their late 40s. older than me even, and they just battered them everywhere. They just battered them, dropped nets on them, dropped poo on them. That literally happened once, just a big bunch of poo dropped on them. Beat them again. These 5 young up-and-comers that needed wins got none, and then they were seen getting shoved into a storage crate, and then they slapped a sticker on for WWE development and just pushed it out of shot, and that was the end of the Spirit Squad.
So what year was this? Like early 2000s?
2006 this was.
Probably just after my time then.
Yeah, it was just after a lot of people's
Very
time.
much when I had tapped out of wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, 2004, I want to say, was the year. I always, for some reason, I feel like 2004 was the year I started to slowly drift out. And then by that point, I would have been long out. And then not to return until 2014, I think.
I went out in 2022, I think.
Yeah.
And then came back into it 2007-ish or something. So I completely missed all of the Spirit Squad.
And the Reign of Terror. Triple H had a lot to answer for there, didn't he?
What was your run? Do you have a specific run, Josh?
Not really. From the
Just on and
moment
off.
I got conscience and realized I like telly. Yeah. So probably when I was 4 years old or something.
In
That and
the
The Simpsons. No, I it would have been about 2004-ish for me, 2003-ish. That's a ballpark. Right after Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy left WWE, and we started getting more focus on Brock Lesnar and the early days of John Cena, I guess. And then I sort of just lost Sky, so I couldn't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Where did you lose it?
My dad never told us.
He just said, it's gone. On, son.
We'll do a bit of a current one here. Karthik's been on, and this might get us to a bit of SummerSlam discussion because Dave's Meltzer's ratings are in.
Are they?
So I'll have to come up with that one in a bit.
Interesting.
Karthik says, quite torn on Punk and Drew, but eager to see a rematch. Do you guys think the rematch feels as big and can snatch Feud of the Year from Cody's chase, which I guess would be everything he did between the Rumble and WrestleMania, which me and Josh went into quite a lot of detail about on an interview that we did last week that you can still get on the What Culture Wrestling podcast channel.
I was there too.
This brings us in, doesn't it? The SummerSlam, I suppose. This is as good a place to start as any. We did our SummerSlam review, which you can still check out wherever you get your pods. But Nicholas,
me.
You were behind the desk as we were talking SummerSlam. What were your thoughts on the show overall? And maybe Punk and Drew specifically, because it seemed to divide everybody in half.
To answer this question specifically, who wouldn't? If you are into Punk and the rematch being on the table, and obviously Hell in a Cell feels like the right way to go for it. It needs this, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people I wasn't one of them, but it sounded like a lot of people were some people loved that match at SummerSlam, some people really didn't like it. And I guess it's down to your tastes, isn't it, really? There was a lot of, I think I can kind of understand, specifically people got really rattled by the bracelet thing, didn't they? Really, I don't know if have you seen any of it, Josh?
I've only seen the clips, so I know about the bracelet thing and the
so
finish
basically,
Pissed a lot of people off that.
So a lot of people didn't like it because they were sort of saying that he's a grown man. Why is he getting distracted by that? Why not do the job first and finish it and then go get the bracelet? But again, CM Punk is the kind of guy who is a details guy, and there's no reason why you'll ever understand. But if he really doesn't like this one thing or really likes this one thing and you mess with it, he's going to kill you. His brain doesn't work that way. That's the story, I guess, they were trying to tell, and it landed for some people and didn't. I just think people want the bloodlusty version of it, and they're going to get it at Hell in a Cell. So, but then they'll have got both of these things, so why would that be bad? Yes is the answer. Looking forward to the rematch, very much so.
Are you comfy there, Phil, with the comments and stuff like that? Is it all working?
The other live stream on the main channel appears to have no chat. I don't know whether it's broken.
Okay.
I just can't see it.
I've
got all the donations.
Oh,
the
cool.
donation links.
I would like to also point out before we go any further, you don't need to know this, but this man has been jumping through hoops of, imagine if have you ever seen any of the Oceans film? There's an Oceans 12 where the guy has to do a dance through all the laser beams, right, to get from one side of the room to the other. This is the guy it's an unreal scene, by the way. Great films, great trilogy. You should watch it, definitely. He does a dance through all these laser beams and gets to the other end without setting any of them off. I feel like that's what he's been doing all morning to get through future securities in various different ways.
It's been a day.
Basically, we wanted it just should have been easy. We should have flicked the button and it should have gone to both. And unfortunately, because of the way their internet security is, it was doing it for one and absolutely not doing it for the other. So
then it stopped doing it for both. That was their fix for a bit.
So Phil's gonna do another donation stream just for Phil after this.
Yeah.
Where he, make him feel good and nice.
Yeah, like, oh, by the way, Phil, Matt Rains has while we're giving you your much-deserved flowers.
Hey, I'll take it.
It's a good day for you.
Matt Rains is thanking you for sorting out the ticket situation. This was a really nice thing Matt Rains did, and then a really accidentally stupid thing Matt Rains did. He offered to buy somebody a ticket just because he's a legend. Anyone, because he can't travel from the US to come to the show, but he wanted to get somebody a ticket in the UK. He did that. He put it to a random draw from anybody that liked his tweet. He picked a winner. Everything was great, and then the winner ended up, I think, being Canadian maybe, and couldn't make it as well. So then it went to a runner-up, and he's still going to the trouble of making the effort. He buys the ticket, and he leaves a typo in the email address of the person, so the ticket doesn't arrive with the person. I love you, Matt, but you're bringing me down. But Phil was able, we got the right email address, and we were able to get the switch over. And Dan, the lad that has got the ticket, was purchased by Matt Rains a Sidgwick t-shirt.
Contractually obligated. Like, I'll give you the ticket, but you better buy that much.
Space for the rest of your life.
That's a great bit. Matt's donated an extra $5 for nailing Steve's name, and then Steve has replied, they didn't. They never do. My ancestors are offended by that as they were by the Olympic Games opening ceremony. How dare they mock the Greek gods? Sorry, Steve. Edward Shirazhands, love that name. Always a big fan of that name from the Podcast Horseman era. I know what I'm doing with that one. It's hang on then, if we've never got it. I mean, because
I've thought this.
He flexes on that all the time.
Sitting on that side of the desk, Edward Shirazhands. I was also a Podcast Horseman lover, I should point out. So a man of great taste. Yeah. Every time I've sat across there and he said, like, nailed it, and you guys have went, oh, he always gets it right. And I've been sitting there thinking, I don't know if that is it. I'm like, and maybe he's just said, okay, what a good sport for telling him that he's got it right. And then actually, it's been wrong for like years.
And the truth comes out.
Can you put it in the chat and see if we can get it in like phonetically and figure out how to actually do it? And then if one of us nails it, well, nothing happens. But
it's an apology for the past how many years it's been of getting it wrong. I think we're up to date on comments. I mean, do you want to go through some ones we've got there, Phil?
A lot in here as well. So.
Oh, excellent.
We'll just go through them. So
as you might tell as well, we have no plan for this, but we've got a little bit of a plan, but just not like.
We figured you guys would create the plan as we're going through. Yeah, so it's on you basically. So if this is terrible, it's all that.
Exactly. Oh, that's right. Just put it back. We have emergency quizzes. We have emergency. Hamflett will do the song again if you really want.
Yeah.
If the more money you donate, he'll do it every time you donate.
People will donate
while he sings.
I'll invent a dance.
Josh will invent a dance. Me and Phil will do something. I don't know. I'm happy. I'll get weird if you get weird. That's cool.
Taps off.
Taps off, everybody.
So we have one from J Hambone 213 who just says, "Cheers, gents. Here's to a good cause. Thanks for the years of laughs and entertainment you've given me."
Thank you very much. Thank you for the donation.
Jay.
Well done, Josh.
Yeah, all me. I'm the brains of the operation.
Hambone over here. Then we have John Harrison.
Oh, legend John.
Comes saying, "Michael Hamflett."
Oh yeah. And John Harrison is the master behind that jingle, by the way.
Really?
Shredding the WrestleCulture theme. So I take that compliment very seriously. Thank you, John.
So he says, "The perfect intro for a hell of an occasion. Sending all the strength and love to Marcel. Keep your spirits up, brother. Have a cracking pod, boys. I'll be with you the whole way. Peace and love to all of you."
Well, legend. Thanks, John.
Starvos54 says, "Hope this helps, legend." Thank you very much.
Absolutely does.
Devin19. I'm sure these are all perfectly fine.
Nailed it.
2 questions. One, NFL Super Bowl predictions from the UK. If anyone has any Super Bowl
What is the NFL?
Dolphins for me.
Dolphins.
Yeah.
I love me the Lakers, mate.
Yeah.
The Lakers look good in the NFL this year for me.
Let's go for the Lions.
The Cactus Jacks for me, I think.
So I guess the answer to that is no.
Yeah. No.
And 2,
I'd like to point out, without doing a bit, I've tried so many times with the NFL, I just can't get away with it. It's too stop-start for my personal taste. I really, if I could like it, I would, because it would make my life so much. It would make my life so much easier, because people want to watch it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll come watch Super Bowl, and then every time I go to do it, I want to die inside.
The infrastructure of their national sport is better than ours. Like that draft deal, where the worst team gets to pick the best player. That's far better than the way our system's set up. It's such a cool idea.
The cap system, only so many players are allowed to exceed a certain amount of wage caps for certain clubs.
My brain wasn't fully developed enough to understand that draft system. I tried to get back into it in school with the NFL games, really, because I love them so much. And also, Tim Allen on Home Improvement supporting the Detroit Lions. So, I love that show. I had to spot them as well.
It's Miami Dolphins from Ace Ventura, though. So.
Exactly.
So you're choosing Tim Allen over Jim Carrey. That's what's happened.
Being a bold move.
Being a kid,
Don't do that if Will Bones. Go mental.
Decisions to make. What was our point? Oh yeah, the draft thing. I didn't even know about that. And that rattled me so much as a kid that I just had to tap out because it blew my mind that it wasn't working the same way as football.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like America, capitalism, except in the NFL somehow. I love that.
It's the one thing I would check. Like, I would lift it straight out and put it in any sport that I watch, basically, because it just makes it a bit more even, a bit more exciting.
He also has another question saying, what is going to be the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match at WrestleMania 2025?
Oh, Bloodline versus the Usos for me.
In my head, I've just seen that as
Run it back, but different.
WrestleMania 225. That was weird. I was like, bloody hell, that's a long way away, isn't it?
That's like the only reason I would want everlasting life is just keep WrestleMania.
So what was the question?
SmackDown Tag Team titles at next year's WrestleMania.
I think you've got to answer this because
He already has.
Yeah, I just don't.
Well, answer it again.
Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu versus the Usos. I think like you either try and have all the good guys from the good line win over the current bloodline, or at least do that main event. I've loved this Uso law. They main evented together, then everything fell apart and they fought each other. And I just think that's a nice sort of 3-year story to have them like come back together. And I can't wait for that on TV now, let alone when we get to WrestleMania and the belts might be on the line. It just feels like it's that wrestling can do that thing where it restores order of everything sometimes. And the Usos getting the belts back, I think it'd be cinema.
And it is great when it's like you did it one year where they were heels and then they come back and get
That's it, the right way.
Yeah, the other way. It's good.
Yeah, I've got nothing better to add. Anyone else?
Josh?
Nah, sadly not.
It's Dude Loving Mankind for me.
Yeah,
all the way.
yeah.
Rock and sock connection, if anything.
Strap them up.
Let Michael
The
book.
Rock and Sock
Let
versus
Michael
Dude
book.
Loving Cactus Jack.
Run it back, come on. Hey, what happened to Mick Foley's last match? Because I remember in the run-up to...
What happened to it?
He's not doing it anymore.
Is he just not doing it anymore?
The doctors have said a firm no.
Oh, okay.
And so he's decided to listen to them.
Makes sense, yeah. I'm pleased if the alternative is...
For now.
pain.
For now, he has.
Yeah. It was with relief when we got the news rather than sadness. One of them things.
Right. So Amanda Slaughter says, keep your spirits up, Marcel. Much love from all of us. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
You
man.
all remember Amanda as well, of course. The
Indeed.
purple-haired lady from WrestleMania.
Cheers,
I know you
Amanda.
remember her, Josh.
Absolutely.
Yep, he remembers.
Loved it
Never
over
forget
there.
a face.
Hi, Amanda.
John Carter says, here's a quick question. How long before the Creed brothers split? If history has taught us anything, it's that a man named Brutus will absolutely stab a man named Julius in the back.
Very good.
Do you
Not
like
having
that?
any context for that, I was confused for a second if you were talking about wrestling or Mad Max. I didn't really understand if that was a
Creed Brothers and Mad
Furiosa
Max,
thing. No, just that Brutus and the other one.
The other one.
See what happened there, Josh, is he got lost. You see why? See how quickly that flipped?
I know.
I was suddenly in the Mad Max law. I was like, I need to see this. I don't know. It's weird. Like, this is raw stuff, I guess, but they were perfect for the Wyatt Six to have the perfect night for them. But it's only now that stable can get going, isn't it? Like, in hindsight, the right call to give the Wyatt Six 3 of the very best in the whole company. But now you've got to get them going. It's not the best start for a stable to arrive, lose, get their asses kicked by a bunch of monsters. Like, they've got to start winning now. So I feel like we're only just getting going with those.
Same with Chad Gable as well. Like, it's he was just about resetting himself from the Alpha Academy stuff.
Yeah.
And they still need to run that back at some point because they still haven't paid that off properly. And then the
But he had
Wyatt
to
stuff just going away. Hell of a match
himself
for
up
the Wyatt, so like.
Unbelievable.
To give Josh some context, did you remember Team Angle from back in the day or not?
Yeah.
So the Angle and his two little, basically, it's this, imagine a modern version of that, right?
Right, okay.
These guys have come together and they were heels, but they've come together at a time where the Wyatt Six, who's that big, you've definitely seen the Wyatt Six.
You showed me that, yeah.
They needed to debut properly. So the two of them were debuting, and ideally the new heel faction you'd want to be like go on a run, and obviously they had to lose, but they lost in spectacular fashion.
Yeah.
And we're kind of hoping they can come good because it's we'll show you the attires later. The attires.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Just matching shimmering blue singlets. Like,
I just love wrestling.
right in Olympic season as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like I'm kind of feeling predisposed to enjoying gear like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
Hedgehog Action
Love it.
says, super excited for All In, but thoughts on TK passing up doing an Osprey World Title win at Wembley, especially since sounds like they won't be back next year. Good luck, Marcel.
That's the crack, isn't it? Like, if they're going to do Wembley one more time, they've kept the biggest drawing match in the chamber, which is quite amazing. Will Ospreay winning the world title is a huge level up from him winning the international, the American title. So they've got a main event there if they're running Wembley, but that's the big if. Seems like it's going both ways. WWE haven't announced Wembley, so it's AEW's to pounce on if they can get it, but can they fill it? Like, it's a risk at this point. We're going to be 50, 55 this year, down from 80. I know that's part of the Taylor Swift stage, but realistically, were they going to do that many more?
Yeah, it's a big old diminishing returns.
Same again next year. Like, unless they get the tickets out straight away and you get a discount or something sophisticated, I think it's a calculated risk. I think they've got one more Wembley in them, and they're kind of relying on Ospreay's broad shoulders to bring people in.
I'd be concerned. I think it depends what they look at, like from a business standpoint, but also from like an ego standpoint. Really, maybe if they're thinking, because it's not just this, is it? They've had the shows in America where they've struggled to like fill the houses, and they've picked much bigger places on the hope that it would be hot. And then obviously you've got to the point where you've seen what, like 2,000, 3,000 people, and maybe sometimes a 10,000 or something like that seater. Like it doesn't make for great optics, even if, like, realistically, as long as you've got I know numbers wise you obviously want to make more money, but if it's red hot, and there's like NXT barely got anybody there, but if it's red hot every week, it looks good and feels good, you don't really mind. But when they're in these bigger places, so I wonder if it's let's go back to the drawing board and maybe
Craven Cottage, maybe, or something like that. Like
that's something like that would feel more realistic, and they wouldn't lose anything on that, because obviously it's there. You know, it's Tony Khan's to use rather. But yeah, Wembley, just, you want it to be full, don't you? Or like as close to as possible. It's Wembley, and that first one was such an unbelievable vibe because nobody thought they could do it, and then pretty much filled it out.
Yeah.
This one, they were lucky because a lot of people bought a massive chunk of tickets off the hype of the first one. I don't know if, I mean, the show could be amazing and people might do it again, but it's difficult.
It's less about the lack of an Ospreay in the main event thing as well, and more about the timing of the Bryan Danielson stuff. Yeah. Like, if the Bryan Danielson stuff, like the contract and like him saying it was going to, like, he's coming to the end of his career, if that wasn't right now, I could see Ospreay being in that main event 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that may be why they did the Ospreay swerve match.
Done a few pivots.
Because they knew, well, we need to get to this Bryan Danielson stuff.
he like the story got out as well, didn't it? That he wanted to put Swerve over to kind of stop that conversation, because everybody was saying, Swerve's keeping the belt warm for Ospreay, and not the case. Josh, I want to bring you in on this point because we talked a lot of WWE last week, and I know with Scott typically we'll talk AEW. Wembley, it's like it's there as much for the sort of casual wrestling fan for this big occasion. It doesn't just have to be AEW. You've never thought, I'm just going to go down for the crack, for the pints, for the spectacle. Has it ever crossed your mind over these last 2 years to give Wembley a bash?
Yeah, 100%. You know, even, again, not to immediately pivot back to WWE, but like them doing Clash at the Castle back up in Glasgow now, you know, not doing it in Cardiff like they did last time, I think.
Yeah.
Like, that was enticing, but the tickets were too hot. They were too expensive. Yeah. Whereas this time, the AEW ticket, by all accounts, I could get in, but it's a big commitment to go down to London for... From the reviews that I got last time, which were mixed, let's say.
Scott didn't have a great night.
Scott swore off live wrestling for the rest of his life, which is as bad a review as you can probably get.
A bad review from Scott?
No.
What?
Shocking. Never. When it comes to AEW, though, surprisingly, the other way around. But the optics, if this is at all valuable, like from a casual person like me, the only narrative I've seen around AEW this year, and that's managed to break through, is when they aired the CM Punk footage from last year's All In, and that narrative you mentioned there, Nicholas, of these guys aren't selling anything. So it's kind of shocked me there that you said that this might be the last Wembley show, at least for a little while. Maybe they got one more in the tank, but it doesn't look like they're doing it next year. But as a casual fan, I was like, oh, that's strange, but also I guess not, because if that narrative is punching through to the likes of me, and that makes me feel like the...
it's not premium.
It's not premium. Like, it's not a premium ticket. It's going to be just something I can get to if I want to.
It becomes optional rather than like a must go.
Absolutely. Like last year, the build up to last year's All In, even though there was the quibbles around, have they booked this with the storylines in mind, or is it just a bunch of matches they've thrown together? It still felt like hot. Like you said, the numbers kind of spoke for themselves. Whereas this time around, I don't know if like 50,000 people sounds like a lot to me, but like you said, in terms of last year's sales and in the narrative of they're not packing out these arenas that they're already going to, and they're playing to half full
it's so
crowds.
Weird.
It's
50,000 people. We were talking attendances yesterday.
Yeah.
That's like top 20, top 30 wrestling attendances paid ever. Like it's absolute out of space numbers, and yet they suffer by comparison. They suffer by the lack of momentum. Right? It's so strange how wrestling works like that. You should be over the moon for a company 5 years old to be still drawing 50,000, having drawn 80,000 to build in the year prior. But narratives are what they are, and
it's difficult as well because obviously they're doing all this at a time where WWE are doing like their best business, and I know that probably is a completely throwaway statement because the way that they operate now, every year is the best year for business because they're always striking new deals with companies and money coming out the ass. But like AEW having that little fluttery period when WWE just storming forward and figuring out like how to crack the international game much better than they have previously. Like this, you know, we've had the shows like the Puerto Rico show for Backlash, you've had the France show for Backlash, these like tailored ones, you've had Glasgow, you've had Cardiff. People have gone mental for them because they've been starved, and when they come here, it looks amazing, and these places are getting sold out. AEW have got the one interesting thing. I think will be the Cardiff one.
First ever Dynamite in the UK.
First ever Dynamite in the UK. I think that's them maybe testing the waters that way to see if Wembley's obviously a huge ask for anybody probably. But what if we try? Can we get the smaller shows for a Dynamite? Can we fill those out? Because I feel like they're trying to figure out where the hell has the audience gone? And it's a shame because at the minute I feel like the prep work towards this All In has been way better than it was last year, and that seems like unfair and the sort of not rewarded. They're like we talk about it regularly. CM Punk was like, "Why the hell is nobody talking about the fact we are literally wrestling at Wembley? What's going on? I'm the first guy to talk about it, and
they're
it's
actually
full.
doing it this year. They're doing the promotion. They're doing the
this year. They're
matches.
doing it, and they can't get the seats filled. And it's like such a cruel game, man.
It's because they're not a coconut that's just fallen from the coconut tree, right? They exist within the context of the year that's come, and I think that narrative works big. I've just lost my entire train of thought. I think that narrative really is important because as a fickle casual fan, and I am very fickle when it comes to just dipping in and out of this stuff.
These podcasts?
Aye, absolutely. And just
pretty
life,
much everything in general.
relationships, friendships,
Everything.
all gone. Whatever suits me and serves me best.
It was a 2-day birth for his mother because he just decided he was, mate, I'm out. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'm indecisive.
The three faces of Josh.
The point is, I've always
Came
had
out with his little mankind mask on and then dressed as dude with love.
this is a direct. I'm trying to just power through. No direct comparison, right? But I've always, there's always been house shows, WWE house shows that come to Newcastle.
Yeah.
And I've never felt the need to go to any of those. But the narrative shifted around that company so much at the start of the year where they were doing house shows again. And for the first time, it felt like the most sought after ticket in the city for a show that previously was easily ignored and nobody was really bothered about apart from the hardcores.
Cody's in town in October, they'll sell it out.
Literally, stuff like that. Suddenly it's that demand, man, that just made it feel like a luxury, like a thing that you need to go to and not just something that will always come round. And I suppose that links with the momentum that WWE has now. And it is a shame because it feels like AEW is getting that momentum back up, right? But just can't quite smash through to where they were a year ago. Maybe because they were, the first time in getting Wembley and stuff. I don't know.
But as they all know, there's a little ticking time bomb in WWE. His name is Phil Brooks, also known as CM Punk. They'll be hoping he does the flip reverse and sets the universe the opposite way. It's I did it in this company. Maybe he'll do it again in WWE. And I don't think he will. I don't think he's going to.
Same bumping
but
fist
they're
for the Miz.
Tony Khan's please have another wobble.
So a good dinner vlog, and he was like, gets on camera. And he goes and has a nice moment with the Miz. I was like, because you're even doing that.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you.
Oh, can I ask something as a casual fan as well for yous and anyone at home? This idea of them doing WrestleMania in London, Triple H coming over and having meetings and stuff, and them teasing it last year or the year before. Is that would that happen imminently? Are we talking 26, 27, 28, or is it further on?
Save up because your tax is going to pay for it.
Right. Okay.
I think.
Rent's going up next year.
Not again.
They got $5 million to go to Vegas, so London are going to be paying a pretty penny.
I think it's as close as it's ever been, but equally they have probably used how much publicity this got to get other American states and cities to up their game, basically. The time difference would be difficult, even in the era where pay-per-view is not a thing anymore, and they have done shows our time or European times whenever they've been in France or they're going to be in Berlin soon. So it's never been less of an issue, but it is WrestleMania. think it's still the one that they want everybody to gather around for. And say if it was on at 4 o'clock over here, that would make it difficult in America.
Well, you'll know this, Nicholas, because I know you dabble and watch.
I hope so.
I saw that the UFC, the last time they held a pay-per-view here very recently, the time zones were catered towards the regular American audience, and they were fighting like dead early here.
So there was a lot of people who were complaining about the results of the fights because they felt like they had to mess their entire sleep schedule up. Some people were like fighting at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like as we would be watching it here. And I'm thinking, well, cry me a river when you have to stay up and watch
traditional
it.
pay-per-view, right? But is that right? Still, so people still have to pay the $50 per show.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, obviously, normally when they're over in the UK, it would do it. You'd be watching it. Normal times, as a luxury we get when we go to America to watch whatever we'd be watching there. So yeah, it was completely messed with people, and I mean that just wouldn't fly. I don't think for like a WrestleMania. If you're gonna watch a WrestleMania, because it's all kids, you couldn't have kids staying here up till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Also, like they were complaining about the Philly crowd because it was cold, and they thought they were a little bit quieter because it was cold.
Yeah.
If they're going to be doing a live crowd at 3 a.m. in the morning, they're going to want them
In
to be
April.
up and ready in April. Yeah, there's no chance.
It must make a difference. Sorry, just after like you said, you've seen the reaction to Backlash, and I'm going to other countries for like these pay-per-views and just having it be so hot. Like surely they don't want to mess with that too much either.
No, I think I know he did say it in a different interview, but I thought the interview that I caught, because randomly at the time I was just had Sky Sports News on the background on a day that I hadn't come into work yet, and Triple H just randomly popped up on the screen, and I was like, "What? No, not yet, Paul. I'm not in the office yet." But on that specific one, he was very coy. I know he did say later on, him and Cena both said WrestleMania for sure, but he was very coy in that initial one where he said, "We're leaving the door open for all possibilities." I have a feeling we will get a different pay-per-view. I know we got with some Money in the Bank we had.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll maybe up it to possibly one of the big four.
Love a rumble.
They're trying to turn SummerSlam into a big deal now as well. It's starting to go for 2 nights.
I feel like
year,
the weather fits.
And cities are starting to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that if I'm Paul Levesque and Nick Khan, I'd say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll test it with you. We'll give you one of the big four, not Mania, but we'll give you one of the other 3. And they've done Money in the Bank, so I wouldn't feel new, would it, if they did that? Yeah. And if they nail it and it's good for their business model, you can have like we'll like handshake deal you at WrestleMania, 1-2 years down the line, see how it goes. That would be probably the way I'd imagine it'll go. But it's hard to get right though, isn't it?
Wembley. It goes back to the Wembley speculation on AEW. Tony Khan's known to have a great relationship with Wembley, so WWE might have been negotiating wrestling, no pun intended, that away from AEW.
Right.
The biggest venues we've got are football stadiums.
Yeah.
So if you're going to put one in an outdoor venue, you kind of need to rely on the weather doing you a favour, which is harder over here than it is in American states. SummerSlam lends itself nicely to that. Tottenham Hotspur's ground is kind of the secondary venue after Wembley that might, or the Olympic Stadium, I suppose. Triple H is a West Ham fan.
He loves the
in
West
his own
Ham,
mind,
doesn't he?
So there's other venues.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
He's not, because of the hammers, Josh.
Yeah.
And Triple H used to use a sledgehammer.
Yeah,
That's literally it.
But as we learn all the time, wrestling is motivated by one thing more than anything else, and that is spite. So WWE will entertain these conversations, but they'll want to run Wembley. Like at their core, they'll want to run Wembley and do more than the 81,000 AEW did last year. So there's so many things, so many balls in the air with it.
At the core, they'll actually want Wembley to put another extension on and then run it at Wembley and then take the extension down so nobody else can do it. That's what they want. In their ideal world, that's what they'd like, I imagine.
Speaking of All In, Chris C says, this one's for you, Marcel. What culture, WWE boys? I'll be attending All In, and it just happens to land on my 40th birthday. To mark becoming a full-grown adult, I'll be dressed as Macho Man for the day.
Yeah, you will. The Macho Man Randy Sausage.
Going back to that other question before about having a Brit at All In, what the hell has happened to Pac? Like 3 weeks ago, he was on TV in a squash match saying, I'm going to be at Wembley and going to prove everyone how goddamn great I am. And then he's disappeared from TV.
He might have been an unfortunate victim of the Lucha Brothers move, because there was some murmurings that Death Triangle were going to get a trios title shot. And now the Lucha Brothers are all set for WWE. There is no Death Triangle anymore. And Pac is suddenly... like
that's 2 years in a row.
There's some up his arse looking for a match. I think
that promo on Dynamite was so like that wasn't angling towards a trios match. That was angling towards a singles match.
And he got a shot
in the gauntlet. Like,
well, this is it, right?
Something, but
he got a shot at the international title before Ospreay lost it. So that feud took it from him. The gauntlet has opened it up. Gauntlet's opened the door. A wrestler gets an entrance, a wrestler gets an enormous pop, a wrestler does a cool spot.
The Gauntlet is AEW's version of the Royal Rumble, essentially.
Right.
Do it in the it'll be on the pre-show this
year?
No,
it'll be on the
main
show.
Main card. Okay.
It's how it works rather than the Rumble is everybody comes out in a random order, first pin wins. So if you've randomly drawn number 12 and the 11th guy pins the 10th guy, tough shit. Nice. So there's an element of risk to it. But the idea is this year, people aren't in, all the matches are quite high stakes. So the wrestlers that have sort of fallen out of favour with storyline-wise get the chance to enter, get a huge reaction, maybe do a cool spot, something like that. And there's a bunch of other wrestlers that just haven't, timing-wise, haven't quite slotted in that can fit there. And it's for a number one contender shot at the world title.
Ignorant question, but what do they get? Like,
it's
same as Royal Rumble. So
so you get like, the stakes are high enough to
I like that. You say that just because of what they've done over all these years, he automatically pointed
to a sign.
Imaginary sign. He just went, just the main shot of the title. Yeah.
Iconography, man, powerful.
WWE.
Point at that goddamn sign. You.
Jay Hambone is back, donating $3, $1 for each face of Foley in Josh's honour.
Hey,
thank you very much.
Bill, how are you feeling about this, man? He's stealing your Mick Foley thing.
I've got no personality in my head. I'm just siphoning off the best bits of all I use and making them worse.
You're gonna get home and your better half's gonna go like, how'd it go? And say, well, luckily I wore my brown shirt, so I knew I was safe with that.
Sustained hours.
I'm definitely gonna pronounce this wrong, but Jakob Højgaard, maybe. Let's find out. It says, hi guys, long time listener, first time chatter. We'll be flying in from the Faroe Islands to watch All In. Cannot wait for a fantastic day. Who would you like to see at Wembley that hasn't been announced for the card yet? For me, it's Mark Briscoe. Well, for me, it's Pac.
Pac for me too, but Mark Briscoe would also be great.
Yeah. I've kind of fallen in love with a new wrestler, Hologram. I'm loving watching, and actually, sort of, I'm going to have to pick two here because the Beast Mortois, Hologram's best opponent so far, they've both kind of like wowed me. Hologram has made me feel like Rey Mysterio did in that way that you feel like you're
Hologram to Josh.
Hologram is like the latest lucha sort of discovery for AEW. There's probably never been more masked high flyers that can kind of do things that you just never thought you would see. Rey Mysterio's the sort of industry standard, but of course he's slowing down, and there are others ready to kind of take that spot. So it becomes harder and harder to impress you because they're all coming up with an extra flip or an extra rotation or just the aerials are the smoothest, whatever. Hologram was a bit silly. So his introductory vignette was him jumping through a big vortex. Amazing. And he's got this massive thing that he wears. It's got a big H on it, just in case you don't know what the first letter of Hologram. And you're like, you could feel a bit like, oh, this is not going to work. It's a bit cartoonish.
It's like Arnold's Rimmer.
I was just going to say
absolutely that right.
Everyone's told me about AEW is like no, like just straight down the middle, like serious wrestling, no gimmicks.
It did alienate people a little bit. It was like, is this a bit daft? And then he's got in the ring and he kicks ass.
It's a Tony Khan idea as well. About,
like, the whole character. So Tony Khan, if you don't know, was just a massive wrestling fan, a massive wrestling geek to the extent that like when he would fantasy book TV shows on his like PC, I used to do this with my wrestling figures. His TV show was called Dynamite. So then he gets old enough, Dad, can I have my own company? I want to call it Dynamite like my drawings. So this is very him.
Yeah.
But it's working because the wrestler behind the mask is class.
Excellent.
Making an impact straight away. He's only had 3 matches. They've kept him off Dynamite on the weekend show. So he's now becoming this almost special attraction. You've got to go to Saturday to see Hologram work.
Amazing.
And there's just a feeling that I'm getting around him where I'm thinking, please get on the Wembley. This is so opportune.
Yeah.
Like, please get on the Wembley card. Now, the other option is obviously Jeff Jarrett because the man has worked his... this is not even my bias. He's worked his way into deserving a spot on that card.
A little bit of your bias.
It's always
a little bit of your bias.
On the opposite side of that, Hologram's brand new, Jeff Jarrett's 60. But that's wrestling.
If someone said to you, though, a man who comes out with a giant H or a man who comes out with 2 double J's, I think I'll take 2 double J's, please.
I want a human.
Yeah, I want a human.
Sparkle has just donated with no comment, but thank you for
Thank
that.
you, Sparkle.
Thank you, Sparkle.
Lee Cleesby says, all the love, Marcel. Will this be up on the channel for a few days as I got to go to work? Yes, it will. It will be up forever.
Indefinitely, I would imagine. I mean, what we mean by that is to watch. We're not going to be here for 2 days. Josh, we've only got him for like 5 minutes, and it already cost us $3,000 just to get him in. So, I mean...
I hate that I've just derailed it. I've come in, charged you so much money, and then have you just explain the most basic wrestling things to me. I feel very bad about it.
He's bought himself a free education on wrestling. That's what he's done.
And he also asks, is Josh coming to All In?
I really wish. If there was any space in the budget, I would absolutely be.
Unfortunately, now, no, because
we spent it on this.
I know. Can you
but knowing you wanted to really go.
I'm really gutted because Cy White, she's coming down with you as well, isn't she? And did last year. You met up with Gareth as well.
Yeah.
I think Simon, obviously Miller was there as well. I don't think
came
he's
with
here
us,
this year. Yeah, of course.
At gunpoint,
so I always
as usual.
Incredibly
Come on,
jealous. Like one of the best times I've had in the past year was just helping you do the live show in Newcastle. Like I was just there on the door, and I was just watching you guys work, which is always a dream. And it was
It's all right, it's good.
a nice environment to be around. Yous working and having fun when I don't really have to work myself.
Yeah. I just like to watch.
I like to watch.
Just observe.
Just watch people work.
Yeah.
One day maybe if you ever come back, I'll go then. Yeah.
Whatculture.com/tickets, by the way, for our live show. If you haven't got them yet, while we're talking all in, 12 till 1:30 at the Crystal Club, 3 minutes away from Wembley. It's going to be amazing.
What's happening after Wembley?
2. Come on.
2 minutes away from Wembley, so you just gained a minute. Right.
Well done, everyone.
Well, after that, you're going to go and watch either Simon Miller or Adam Wilborn record the best videos we do, the ups and downs and what went downs after the live show. Great crowd right outside Wembley. It's going to be, unless we get moved on by the police again, it's going to be brilliant. And then we're all going to go.
Want Miller to get arrested. Putting it out there.
come close.
We've
We've come close a couple of times.
close. One day.
And then we're all going to go back to the Crystal Club for Sweet Chin Disco. The tickets are available through Sweet Chin Disco's socials and through their website. There's going to be Prince Nana, Max Caster, and our very own Adam Wilborn's going to be hosting. There are very limited tickets left for that, and we can't say much, but we would say if you were even half interested, get them.
Yep. Next, John Carter again. He says, with the rumor that John Cena might be cast as Guile in the new Street Fighter film, which wrestlers would you cast as the rest of the characters? Here we go.
Yeah,
John.
you see, if you wait long enough,
now.
and then Josh is like, I don't even like
Now
Street
you've
Fighter though.
perfectly cast the Street Fighter movie.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Well, Josh,
fighting
we'll
game
leave it to you.
franchise.
I'll turn the microphones away just so it's all you.
Get a real dude love vibe
Yeah,
of
I was
Blanca.
going to say, man, have you ever heard of Dude Love, Mick Foley, Mankind, and Cactus Jack? Yeah, just why don't you do a Peter Sellers and you can just cast him and he can play every character, maybe something like that. I don't know who was
Mike
good?
Myers does all of the characters.
Who's good? Yeah, who's good? Anyone who can be funny and act a little bit. I know that's quite basic. John Cena.
Not many of
is
them.
funny.
Well, there you have it.
Narrowed it down a lot.
I'm trying to get through this without dying.
Anybody who could be funny and act.
Yeah, CM Punk as the bad guy, and that's it.
We've already sold Hamflett, so he's buying 2
Yeah,
copies.
CM Punk in the M. Bison gear, I think would be class.
Yeah.
I always liked M. Bison's like red deal.
Punk for Bison though? There's got to be somebody else who could fit the Bison.
Could Matt and Jeff Hardy be Ken and Ryu? They've got the hair and them sort of half.
No, but they haven't got
matching.
the talent.
Kenny Omega will probably want to be one of them.
Yeah, he's done that. He's
Exactly.
cosplayed as that on
Yeah.
TV. hasn't
Ryu.
What about Kenny and Cody as Ken and Ryu?
he? Nice.
Because they did that thing. Was it for Street Fighter? Or was it for a different game? So when Cody was Kenny Omega was Cody in a game or something like that?
That sounds right.
Kenny Omega always does. Well, not always.
was
He
the-
did it once. He does the Final Fantasy VII thing, right? He's the guy who
Yes,
with like
that's-
Sephiroth's
yeah.
gear and theme and stuff.
And his big sword.
Yeah, and his big sword.
Yeah.
Aye.
I can't remember. It was for. I can't remember. I'm terrible with this. But Kenny Omega's dressed in a suit, I'm sure, with certain hair, and then Cody. It was when they were in the Bullet Club together. They were both characters, and someone help me out here in the comments. Throw me a goddamn bone here. I'll look that up while you're doing it.
It's not the question, but do you guys like John Cena as an actor? Because I like him a lot. I think he's very funny. And when he pivoted into comedy rather than trying to do the Dwayne Johnson action movie thing and the Marine and the early roles, like I think he's really good.
It's not a dig at The Rock, because I know he gets all the pelters for doing the same movie over and again, and now that his credibility is taking a hit, he's doing the Smashing Machine to try and go as far away from that as possible. A24, is it? He's like, right, time to take my turn at that and get credibility, whatever. But historically, wrestlers just need to be well advised and find the lane.
Be Batista.
Well, yeah, like Batista got really great advice on more than one occasion and had talent and spoke to, got help off the right people, is the first to admit how much he needed. Like, wrestlers are so arrogant about it. They were like, oh, the Hollywood stars come to Raw and they can't believe we're doing this in one take. And it's like, yeah, it's because it looks shit, mate. Like, I love what you're doing, but like, let's not compare it to an actual film. That's why they have several takes. That's why they have proper cameras and lights and everything like that.
But you get like someone who will spend ages trying to hone their craft and like really take up the best roles and like get an agent who will make sure they get the right ones, like Dave Bautista. And then there are people like Dwayne Johnson.
Cena's right in the middle, isn't he? Like, so Cena's
He's found his niche now.
Yeah.
Like he dabbled in things, and now he's just muscly guy who does comedy.
big
Kinda
but
works.
funny.
I think he's found that. He's definitely found what works for him for sure. Like I'm probably with you there, Josh. I think for me, I know a lot of people thought it was weird, but he's definitely the guy who will stand bollock naked at the Oscars to make himself like just to be out there. Because he's so determined to go and find the thing, and he'll literally allow himself to do any self-deprecating role.
He'll do low state as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. He'll do anything. Yeah, anything he thinks.
All his SNL appearances, he was the first person up for doing.
And he's the most game guy for that. Fair play to him in that regard. But I think he definitely found that. I think that's the level for me. I don't see him. I mean, I bet he tries. Yeah, he's going to try and get in the future and hit that Oscar run of some degree. And I'm going to be like, sorry, John, I can't see you.
I think you're right. You know, he doesn't have the range of a Batista, who I just think is absolutely goated. By the way, he's unreal in everything he's in.
Name me a film he's made worse by being in it.
Literally none. Not a single one. Even he was in 5 minutes of Blade Runner, and he's just like steals.
Oh, you're the best. You're the best.
He's only gotten better since then. But yeah, Cena has that thing that The Rock doesn't, and I don't mind The Rock as an actor, but he doesn't have that self-awareness. Right?
All right, get out.
Can't like laugh at himself. I'm so sorry.
Get off.
Can't laugh at himself, but Cena does, and he will.
That's
I don't
the
think
difference.
he'll ever win an Oscar.
That's 100% the difference.
Yeah,
he can laugh at himself.
Cena, unlike I don't know some of the ones that tried and failed. Seems to be quite content with his limitations as well. Like he seems to really enjoy what he's doing, but not. I'm sure he's got a massive ego, but he doesn't have like the Hollywood ego of I'm the draw. I'm gonna make this film. This is my star power. I can do whatever I want. It's like it just seems happy to be there.
I think he's got that.
It's like being involved.
Yeah, he's got that mindset probably from this. Like when he goes there, he will still act. I can literally picture him calling everybody sir. Like even no matter where they are, and like very much being like, oh, I'm just here to learn from you, like, because he's happy to put himself at the bottom because he's nothing if not punctual, John Cena, and he will stay there from early hours in the morning till late hours at night, and he will just absorb stuff until probably he becomes good at it. Like,
you know, look at his Jackie Chan training, and he eventually got the lightning.
He got the lightning fist, and when you can turn that back into wrestling, it's pretty good.
Incredible.
And I've heard he
was 6 months well spent.
Yeah, you should see he's been training to grow his hair back. That's we will see if it works. Who's to say?
You know, Cena. Sorry, I'm taking up so much time on not my channel with this question. But you know how we like tried it and sort of failed and got pushed back, then tried it again and finally broke through after multiple attempts, where for a while, for me at least, it just sort of seemed like he was never going to make it. He was going to be a Paul Levesque who does Blade Trinity and then doesn't get any further.
Hogan.
Going to be
Hogan was the first, but they were all turkeys.
A Hogan, a Kane, See No Evil. But like, do you think there was a difference between the mentality of those people trying to break into movies and then being like, you know what, this isn't for me, or did Cena just kind of, did he want it more, or did he get lucky, or like, what's the difference? Why did he succeed and manage to break through and find his lane in a way that those others didn't?
I sense he respects the business. I really think, to Nicholas's point, I think having been through the ringer of wrestling and taken being a locker room leader so seriously, he wanted to behave as he would have wanted his subordinates to behave when he was in WWE. So he was like, right, I'm going to go at the very, very bottom and show absolute respect. I'm going to be as humble as I possibly can. And that's going to get you opportunities even when things fail, isn't it?
It's that old working with you, they're more likely to bring you back.
It's that old adage, isn't it, of in television where like never be rude to the runner because they will one day be the executive producer and they'll not give you the work. I can't imagine on his first day on any of those sets, Cena was an arsehole to anybody. He's not locker room leader. He's the guy there to be the sponge. Yeah. And sooner or later, one's going to click.
It's awful. It's that Vince McMahon attitude towards anybody who ever came into WWE from another company. Doesn't matter what you've done over there, you are a zero.
Yeah.
And you come in these doors, and he'll, whether by osmosis or because he's one of his best friends, he'll have taken that mentality from one of the worst guys in the world and took it with him for the better, I suppose, for his career. But I think like probably the difference has got to be those moments where they were trying to put him in films while he was still wrestling.
Yeah, very different.
Then the difference of I get to pick the roles now, and I mean like he took that little cameo in Barbie as like a mermaid, like because he just wanted to be just wanted to be involved, like because he knows it's a hit as well. He's not stupid. He's got a business brain on him. Yeah. There'll be people who would say they didn't want just a tiny role. He'll take tiny roles in everything, and he'll know which films will be a hit. Because if you see his face again, you're like, oh, it's that guy. I guess he's in another film I like. And then before you know it, he's winning the Oscar. And he won't deserve it, but he'll win an Oscar probably.
His crossover appeal was hiding in plain sight for years in wrestling. Because I go back to this all the time. When he was divisive and when he was like half the crowd hated him, there was always this real dismissive attitude towards the people that cheered him because like wrestling fans are so predominantly made up of like a certain profile of a male of a particular age. And the crack was always, the women and children like him, but the men hate him. As if that was a bad thing, that you're basically just cutting off half the audience. That reflected that he actually had a broader appeal. But back then it was seen as, right there, you're for the lasses and the kids. You know, like
you're for 2/3 of the audience.
I
don't think so, actually.
The kids might stick around forever. The money that they can make, but like, so that was always there with him. Because it was the wrestling purists that were most against him.
So what you're saying is the WWE booking for WWE studios and the movies they were making was just as bad as the actual wrestling in the 2000s.
Yeah, most definitely. But I almost would imagine as well, if they were trying to put him in films, they would be demanding that he goes in X, Y, and Z places. Whereas if he was in control of his own fate, I don't know this is pure speculation on my part, but it would suggest to me maybe something like this, where he's just said, I don't need to be pushed in at the top. I don't need to be whatever. Maybe a bit more now because he's got a bit more leverage. But I just assume he just wants to go and learn, study from people, be around directors who he's never been around, learn from them, be around actual actors.
Like you said, you know, it seemed like when he started taking those roles and taking it more seriously, that was when he was going part-time and when he wasn't in the company anymore. Like you said, wasn't the top guy necessarily. Like that had kind of moved in the baton being passed, so maybe he had more freedom to, I don't know, take those roles.
Yeah, it's not in his, you know, his weird mental DNA where he's like, if I'm in, I'm in. If he's in a task, he's 100% in. So drawn halfway between wrestling and acting, he probably was thinking, I'm not being myself.
Are you aware of his comeback next year? So he's wrapping it up next year, but he's basically said 2025 is a wrestling year. So that's him making the choice to a gamble, I suppose, maybe just like turn down some films to be on the road. 50 dates, I think he's gonna draw some monster houses.
Like full back for a year.
He's gonna draw some monster houses. Like this, you could do a John Cena main event every month for a year. He's gonna work his last Mania, his last Rumble, his last, and you can't do that. And John Cena wouldn't do it half measures either. So
that's good. I rate that a lot because we talked about, you know, The Rock coming back for WrestleMania, and the one thing that drew me back to that over his previous returns was like, it felt like he was more committed than usual. It felt like he's still only going to be in it part-time for a little bit, but he's putting more effort into the storyline. So
it's far more interesting than anything that he's done previously because he was actually in. It wasn't like he wasn't turning up to announce the attendance with a big smile on his face and then go home. Like, looked like an audition for his candidacy, you know what I mean, as a president. Hi everyone, here's this. Just no, he actually came out and was a bastard, and it was great, really good. Nearly killed a man outside in the rain.
Look at you now.
Oh God. And I hate him, and he was excellent. I will never deny it if he's good, but I'm not into him as a person.
Anyways, moving on. Chassis T has just donated with no comment, but thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Jeff Raidmaker
legend,
says,
Jeff.
Happy weekend, legends. What if the last member of the Wyatt Six is Joe Hendry and they just haven't said his name yet? And he also asking the best Mick Foley. Oh, he's saying the best Mick Foley moment is when Cactus Jack was revealed in that WWE in that promo against Triple H.
Yeah, that was
absolutely the best mankind.
I'll tell you what, that's
Triple H.
Actually,
that promo is seared into my brain.
It's weirdly timing wise, like. My brother was into wrestling before me. He would watch it on Sky or whatever it was. And then I remember seeing that clip and just trying to understand what was going on. And like, he's like unbuttoning this guy's unbuttoning the shirt who'd been getting his ass kicked prior to this. And then like, I'll just take the shirt off. And now I'm invincible. I'm the hardest man.
Man takes off shirt.
And then he hits him with a chair, doesn't he? He just no sells. And I remember being like, I don't know who this guy is, but I am into him.
Triple H has everything.
He's incredible.
All the credit for that.
Incredible.
The
He's
reaction
shitting himself.
to Triple H in that is incredible. He
sells that shirt removal is unbelievable.
It's like, oh, what the?
What have I done?
No.
Don't
bring him out. Don't bring him out. Yeah, good
So
stuff.
good.
Really good.
And then leading into the best match of all time at the Royal Rumble.
I mean, two Mick Foley guys right there.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Devin19 is back saying who's going to be the Raw tag team title match at WrestleMania next year.
You like it some tag teams, aren't you? I'm gonna get some water. I'll be back in a second.
I don't know because I can see them being a bit more flexible with the belts. So the Judgment Day have got them now. Feels like they'll move them to Sammy and Jay in order to facilitate the Raw half of the Bloodline reunion sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I quite liked what happened this year where they split them up in the ladder match, but I think next year you're allowed to have one be the excuse for the big multi-man match and one be the serious business tag team match. You can get both. Like now that you've got two sets of belts, I know this is not the most appealing answer, but if there's 6 teams vying for it and you get a lot of matches as good as this year's Mania one, just do that again. And then the SmackDown belts can be the
fun.
Yeah,
like tag teams must being at 38 as well was so much fun.
It's like you can have the evocative match and have the stunt show, effectively the like.
And many cards need that kind of thing as well.
Range. It's all about range.
Big dumb multi-man thing to break up the card a little bit.
Yeah, it's. I'm going to jump back into these comments a little bit, Phil. Only because Mark Lee Willis is saying he genuinely can't donate, can't get to the payment page. If you can't, that's all right. We're seeing the donations coming through on YouTube. We've done our tech best, but thank you anyway, because anything that comes through here, 60% of the YouTube ones?
Yeah, we'll still get 60% of the YouTube ones.
And I feel like I have to read this one out now because I've seen it's been staring at me for a little bit. It's from it's from Steve Nick Ola Cop U Loss, which he's spelled out phonetically for us.
Save that. Put that in your notes. We'll give it to Wilborn.
I'll take a screenshot because Wilborn's been phoning it in all the years.
We've got clarification on Steve.
Nick Ola Cop U Loss.
Nick Ola Kopulos.
Yeah.
Nicola Kopulos. Kopulos.
I think we watched it again there.
And I definitely watched it at the end there.
But I've screenshotted it and I'm going to send it to Wilborn even though he's off and make him respectable.
And tell him, you suck. For 3 years, you got this one.
I've just got one more in here before we move on, just to clear these. From Nevernot, who just says, didn't read the banner on the video, so double donation.
Thank you.
Rain. But thank you. No wrestling question, but you can get fancy peanut butter versions of pink wafers. They're dry as plasterboard, so look out for them, Hamflett.
Oh my God, peanut butter and a pink wafer.
I mean,
I love it when people improve on perfection. Like.
And dry as plasterboard, just so
that's how I want it. When they put crisps in the peanut butter cups in America,
Oh my God.
I couldn't believe that was real. It looked like, you know when you see those photoshops where somebody's made like Mountain Dew hot dog sauce or whatever.
I know you have.
I want to share this enjoyment, but unfortunately, they've got peanuts in, so I can't. I'll never know the love.
A peanut butter related
I'll
product.
never know the joy, but I hope you have a great time.
I'm just seeing the comment from Nevernot. So thank you for the double donation. Just woke up, because I'm doing the 4-week-old newborn night shift. That absolutely takes me back. Nevernot, you have my solidarity and support.
Another deadly boy.
Keep on keeping on. I've just seen a comment towards the bottom there from Cy White, who she's dropped in to say Josh Brown moonlighting on the other channel again, is he? Yeah.
I didn't tell anyone from the gaming channel, by the way, that I was doing this. So I'm so sorry, Scott. Yeah.
You are so cooked, man.
Scott's sending me titles. He's sending me thumbnails. Probably Side, please cover for me.
It's over for you, pal.
No. At least I spent my last minutes being with my buddies and hopefully
where's your buddies like?
some money for myself.
You're dreading walking back into the gaming locker room. They're just like, your bag's going to be chained to the pipes on the ceiling.
I'm going to a gaming court after this, 100%.
Larry Rabb has been on with another very generous donation. Thank you so much, Larry. Hello from Utah. Good luck, Marcel. The WrestleCulture fans are the best, and I hope the world being surrounded by these great fans. Thank you very much, Larry. You are indeed one of these great fans. We're sorry again that you were unable to attend SummerSlam, and we hope to catch your ass down the road at another one of those big shows.
Damn you, Delta!
Marcel Laviolette has been on. I love this name crack, by the way. Mine's Laviolette. French surname, don't ask how we got it. Think La Purple, brackets, Violet.
La Violette.
La Violette.
La
Like
Violette.
La Violette.
Violette.
Yeah, and we have to do the hand thing as well. Yeah. La Violette.
I'm interested in your thoughts on this, Josh, or what you even know about this group, because they're my favourites. Tactical Penguin's been back on. Been meaning to put out my fantasy booking. Rhea and Damien need 3 more bodies to take on the Judgment Day, bring in their house Black, so I can see Brody destroy Dom. Imagine that as a stable. Oh my God, I love the House of Black coming in at the Judgment Day.
I assume because of the Buddy and Rhea connection.
Yeah, there's and just Brody King smashing Dom is.
Well, yeah,
right.
obviously.
That would be pretty cool as well.
Anybody getting Dom in a strange way.
You might have been hearing crack about the Bloodline Civil War. But,
Yes.
Triple H finds an idea and really likes it, especially when it's making everybody a bunch of money. So we're getting to the Judgment Day, a beloved stable of mine, but kind of like the best heels in WWE over the last 2 years. They've now got one of their own, and it kind of didn't culminate, but the new story culminated at SummerSlam, and then the new story restarted on Raw with Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley looking like the friggin' Rock and Steve Austin. Pops out the air. How much has the Judgment Day made it into your sort of sphere of influence?
Very little, truth be told. It's mostly used doing the Judgment Day gimmick around the office, and
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
around, of course, when I was getting back into it, but it was very focused on like specific members. Damian Priest really won me over through this year when he got the title. I wasn't certain about it just because I didn't know the guy, and I was like, "Who are you? You should be appealing to me, the casual fan who tunes in twice a year." But now, like you said, I think he kicks ass in the pops.
Hey, I tell you what, I bet you the higher ups would agree with you. You got to cater to him, the guy who's only going to be here for 2 days a year.
I always like though when you get those stables, and you just like some of the members just have that undeniable charisma and star power and draw, and you just see it. Like I imagine you guys see it way more, but like week after week, and you just see them like getting more popular. The pops getting a little bit bigger, and taking maybe a bit more focus in the storylines, and then breaking out.
Really think Priest's done an incredible job. Like a lot of people were unsure if he was the guy. I think that obviously the opening match and moment after to open at WrestleMania night was just unbelievable.
Magic,
They gave you everything. They had all the cakes and ate all of them. And like with the CM Punk thing, the Drew thing, the Priest, even Seth. It's like, how have you done that? It's brilliant. It's great. And then I think he's been nothing but excellent since. I really do think he's every time someone has questioned something of his, he's proven himself again and again and again. I could not believe how like red hot this crowd was for him on Raw, man. Like
that moment when they come together and hug at the end of the
so awesome.
Like, oh my
like
god, the crowd
even
went
like
mad
him,
for it.
his solo bit where he's doing the whole like, and now my family just got a whole lot bigger, and they were going mad for it. And I was like, that's a big risk, man.
In the wrong hands,
do
that
and
promo
it
goes wrong, doesn't it? Yeah.
You just got a whole lot bigger, right? Right, guys? And there's nobody like if it's AW show, you'd be like, where the hell is him? I'm joking. But yeah, I really do think he's connected, and I really think it's worked.
There's an adage in wrestling about that the man should make the title rather than the title making the man, and that's the idea of that is that sometimes they'll put a belt on somebody with the hope that everybody will just accept them as a world champion because they happen to be wearing it. Yeah. Damian Priest was kind of firing back accusations of that very early into his run, but match after match after match has definitely flipped it. Definitely, like it's a relatively new world title, the one he won. Right. So at the moment, every time they're passing that around, somebody's got to keep it as prestigious as they can. It was just invented out of thin air last year. Yeah. So Seth Rollins was vital to it. The fact that Drew McIntyre wants it has kept it valuable, and now Gunther holding it, you sense it's in safe hands. But Priest was seen as an instant transitional champion and really turned that reputation around over the course of his run.
Absolutely. I mean, like me, I didn't even know who won Money in the Bank. So when I was watching that WrestleMania, I was like, "What's going on here? This is a storyline I don't know." But yeah, I was just assuming because I'm a fool that it was going to be this quick, kind of inconsequential transition. Yeah. But then it just turned out to be way more impactful.
I guess as well when it's a name who, if you're more casual, like it doesn't jump off the page to you. Like sometimes you go, "Oh, that guy! I kind of remember that person. It's cool to see them." Like, I will never forget the day when I didn't really know much about wrestling for years, but when I was at university, seeing that Mike The Miz was the champion, and I was like, the Miz?
They put the belt on The Miz?
And I'm like, how does he, because I didn't know any of the steps, and I'm like, how, and then finding that out, I'm like, it's really weird, but I'm really into this idea of the briefcase now, where it can literally mean anybody can be the champ, and they can shoehorn anybody they want in with that, and... But if you've been out for the loop for so long and them names not jumping off a page, can really be like, that's like how many people, you talk about this all the time, who don't actually watch the show or the product. They'll see a clip or they'll see a headline and they'll just start tweeting about it or like talking to someone. I said that must be rubbish. That so-and-so is this. And you're like, no, but if you've watched, this person's there for the reason because they've been great. They've changed. You've been away in the years. A lot can change in wrestling in a year. Someone can kick ass in the course of a year and completely turn their fortunes around. Damian Priest is just like a perfect example of that.
What do you think about, because what's so big for me as a casual fan now and what allows me to get familiar with certain wrestlers is the use of social media, right? And I think heels have done a great job in using that to help raise their profile, like either in major ways, like obviously Drew does so much posting. He is a poster. But even after we had the heel turn from Dom and posting like the thing with the chicken tenders and stuff, like just like little moments like that. As a casual fan, I think that kicks ass. But if you're in the business, is that stuff enjoyable to view, or is it distracting, annoying? Do you want everything more focused on the product? I don't know.
It's never. There probably should have been with social media like a rule book from day one that everybody had to follow, but because that never happened and social media was in front of the wrestling companies themselves, it's kind of lawless. So there's no established kayfabe to be kept. Equally, there's no pressure on the person to be shooting in every tweet. They can be their real name. They can be their character name. Their Twitter handle can be character name WWE as much as it can be their shoot name. That's weird. But I think as a wrestling fan, you can pretty quickly discern which one it is and then decide if you want to follow or not. I think Drew McIntyre's a great example this year. Becky Lynch was an example a few years prior where you can kind of see that they're really locked in to doing character-based tweets, and that helps your investment in the show. So you think, I'm going to slap a follow on that for a bit, and it's going to... Whereas, and again, to use Becky Lynch as a further example, she's kind of almost like advanced beyond WWE now. She's such a made star that she can kind of pick and choose when she works, so it becomes posts with her husband, Seth Rollins, or with the baby, or just talking about a book, or TV opportunities, whatever. Rebecca Quinn.
Yes.
That sort of thing. And you sort of just have to accept it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah.
It kind of had, like, wrestling known it was coming, there might have been this one set way, but we've never had it. Sometimes it's a nightmare because the wrestlers you like post in real life and you hate what they post, and you're like, that's pierced the veneer. I wanted to just think of you as this character. Punk's kind of amazing because he's a shithouse on Instagram, and a lot of people want to dislike him or want to, like, kind of revel in the devilish side of his attitude. So he gets it, but it's not for everyone, social media, is it?
I know the rules probably apply to him less than the full-timers, but, a huge part of The Rock's appeal when he came back was the social media presence and him moving from Dwayne Johnson to, I am doing a bit now. This is for my wrestling character. Here is a promo.
For half an hour.
For half an hour. And that was cool and different, sorry. That was cool and different. And obviously he incorporated a lot of that into the actual promos in the ring as well. But I think for me, anyone else that doesn't have that distinction between character and personality, like, he just about made it work flitting between, I am Dwayne Johnson, I'm a promoter, and I'm in character mode now, and here's a promo where I call you a fuck ass.
A great sign off. I think we were all in Philadelphia when he and Roman did their appearance on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, one of the Jimmys.
Yeah.
Sorry to the other Jimmy. And basically, in a moment where we were obviously all very excited for WrestleMania, and The Rock had been delivering some really great stuff, me and Wilborn were the only two who managed to make it up to stay up. We're just like, the lads retired from whatever it was, the travel, or because they're old, I don't know. And we were just sat there, and we just came on, so we watched it, and he was like, what's going to happen? I was like, anything can happen, I guess. Maybe they're going to do an angle, but nobody knew. And it was like the worst thing that could possibly happen for me, because this is the Dwayne that I absolutely despise, who wanders on and it's just like, so in our business, the thing that we call the heat, I've gone heel, which means to be a bad guy now. And he's got his glasses on, and I was Mr. PR, and I was like, I hear them staying to watch this. I was like, I just didn't have to do it, but I didn't want Wilbur to do it by himself. Now I'm watching Dwayne Johnson be Dwayne Johnson, the guy that I can't stand watching. And it's completely takes you, because then you got Roman Reigns sitting there, who is supposed to be like, have this massive aura.
Yeah.
But he's in Dwayne's world now.
Right.
So like,
Party time.
So like, but he's kind of sitting there on the couch like a well-behaved little boy. And I'm thinking, like, what? How is that helping him? So that's a real thing, though, if he's going to try and juggle those worlds. But he is, that Hollywood Dwayne is the worst thing.
I didn't make it through the WrestleMania Behind the Curtain documentary, and I was really looking forward to it.
You should.
After it got delayed.
You definitely should.
It's worth a go.
I got halfway through, and I was so frustrated by that.
It's awful, but I was
By the
watching.
Rock's lies.
Yeah,
but it's.
I came up with this great idea.
But I'm watching them unfold, and I'm like, oh, you idiot! You think you're covering this, and you think you're nailing it, and everybody knows you're lying, and the memes are going to be out the ass, and the memes were out the ass, and there's continue to be. This is the best thing since he said, the power of the DC universe is about to change. No, it's not, Dwayne. It's not. Spoiler, asshole. You got canned.
Since having this job, I've often had like friends or friends of friends just ask about it, and the easiest comparison I can always come up with when they'll say like, so like what at this point? Like the question is no longer, it's not real. It's just like, how does it work? How would you cover it as adults to being listened to by other adults, right? And I use EastEnders. There'll be an American soap opera equivalent. I just said like, we watch EastEnders and we could talk about Phil Mitchell's character work or Steve McFadden's performance as Phil Mitchell because it's just an easy, relatable thing.
Is that his real name?
Yeah.
I never wanted to know that.
But like
now I know. That's
if
Steve
McFadden did go on a talk show, like Catchphrase, and then he said, and
the only reason he's done that.
No.
Isn't it? The only reason. Oh, you have to just
Waiting for his moment.
That's long-term storytelling, not Josh. No, but if he went on that and it's like, oh, what's it like in EastEnders? It's like, oh, it was great. I chinned Grant for real. You're like, that's fucking weird. What are you talking about? Like wrestling has to, it can't really exist in this world or its own, and yet it sort of has to do both. Like, no, if he did that, people are like, I don't think Steve's well. Like,
but the people who get it right are really good at it.
Yes.
It's the fun thing. So when you're watching that unfold on a weekly basis, when someone is very obviously in the middle of a hot streak, it's really quite exciting. Like, I mean, that moment when we were, and Drew's texting from the middle of the match.
oh, God.
Yeah.
And then there's
bored at work, lol.
and like, oh my God, there's an actual tweet there. He's literally tweeting. I mean, that's just brilliant. That's really good.
OG Stem Cell. Keep your head up, Marcel. Would you welcome, this is a question for all of us, would you welcome company trades? Instead of waiting out contracts, you could trade, for example, Ricochet for Miro. What trades would you guys want to see? Cheers to Marcel. Agree with that. And cheers to you, OG Stem Cell. Thank you for the donation. Trades, like that would involve, I guess, companies actually working collaboratively, which is why it's not going to happen. Is it?
That's why we're not going to get them.
Have we ever talked about spite in
Yeah. The best version of that, I guess, is right now the TNA, WWE, and AEW New Japan thing, where that feels like that's actually the best use of. I don't want super shows because typically
we
politics.
have one big company just taking things off the little company and not really giving a lot back the other way.
Well,
That's the best.
yeah.
The best use of
That's
this.
usually that's
Hamflett.
Michael Hamflett's there. He's for the little person, Michael
Right,
Hamflett.
yeah.
You see, of course.
I'm going to walk this back a little bit.
No, tell us more about capitalism, Michael.
Right. Have we talked about the draft, yeah? A better version of that, a nicer version of that, where it kind of, yes, there's always going to be a smaller company and a bigger company, or the one with the more money or whatever.
Yeah.
But in wrestling, what we talk about all the time, one of the best ways to get over is to just not be anywhere near the show. Like, it's 52 weeks a year of content sharing. If you get an injury, no bad thing anymore because people will miss you and the return pop you get and the return story, whatever. Trades create that with nobody needing to get hurt or nobody needing to be written off television. If you're working with a company you trust, Takeshita's in the G1 at the moment. AEW's Konosuke Takeshita will probably not work Wembley because he's working this grueling tournament in New Japan, but he's getting raves for it. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And AEW have kind of fumbled him a bit. He's going to come back twice the man, having had this amazing tournament, and will be pushed.
Fumble of a bit is a massive mistake.
He's gone on loan to Brentford, does he?
A little bit.
It's what the business was built on through the
Yeah.
territory system.
Yeah.
Like, this is exactly why they let people come in, do a really hot run, and then we'll go somewhere else. And then
There's
get you
loads-
back.
And then Vince starting out on all of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Still on all of that, thanks very much. Yeah,
Exactly.
killed that.
Historically, they've worked with other companies, and then it always just feels like it's just a little like a trial run for so basically we'll work with the company, but we want these 4 people. They never say that out loud, but they want these 4 people, and they'll just work with them and work with them and work with them. Turn their head, show them the world of WWE, and then when they go back, they're like very obviously waiting for the contract to run out so they can just end up jumping ship and going away. And then the relationships magically end with these companies, or the companies, unfortunately, in some of the cases, disappear because they stole all our talent. Like, it's really bad, Josh. It's been going. That's not even that long ago. I mean, like
The UK scene, as we
UK
knew it,
scene
died because they
obliterated by it.
decided to kill it.
Right,
Yeah.
Like called it NXT UK, gobbled up enough talent, not necessarily all of the best ones, but gobbled up enough to kind of like render.
All of ours.
Yeah, loads of hours. Made a bunch of the independent companies over here that were booming kind of redundant because they'd lost so many key guys all at once.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of the end for anybody that knew the history. Basically, could see that was it. Writing was on the wall.
How would sorry, I'm such an idiot, just truth be told, but a novice when it comes to this stuff. How would a proper solidified trade system alleviate that and not just do what Phil said, like give people a more, not legal reason, but a legitimate reason to still steal talent? Because I know WWE, for instance, isn't for everyone. Heard so much about the schedule and how AEW's pay and schedule is much fairer and better for the wrestler. But like, surely they're still a draw if they come knocking and you're like you said, like a
Oh, but
British
yeah.
indie wrestler, and you're like, come on over here, and we'll do it legitimately. You don't have to cut ties with that company, but we'll make a deal and then we'll transfer you over.
There's tons of people who've picked AEW instead of WWE.
Yeah.
They've been in that position. They've reached the point where it's time to make a jump, and they've gone there. Like some of them who haven't worked in WWE before. Will Ospreay is probably the big example where he could have walked into either if he wanted to, and he went with AEW, and he will be one of the top guys there. But they're overcrowded with a lot of top guys. What they've really done is like steal a lot of New Japan's guys.
Yeah.
Like the reason that anybody was ever watching the red hot run of New Japan was most of the guys are now literally in AEW.
Same with Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
The reason
same
they
with Ring of
own
Honor.
Ring of
Yeah.
Honor is because they decimated Ring of Honor.
Yeah, this is it. And it's no different. But obviously, AEW has always been pitched as narratively the like alternative, the challenger brand, but also as like the good guy company almost. But they're still doing similar, like the same stuff. It's just presented in a different way because maybe it's easier to talk about it that way.
Wrestlers are still independent contractors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Treating them the exact same
And it's
way.
like the trade-off system, though. I think I would love to see if because they don't have to work together, companies, but like the way the football clubs would trade players,
Loans.
like well, not even just loans, like literally just swap. These two wrestlers are worth the same value as that wrestler. I don't care how long the contract is. Are you happy to make that trade? Like you've got a great tag team, they've got a really great singles wrestler. It's probably their top guy and it's their top tag team. You want to swap them around? Young Bucks for who in WWE? I don't know. If you had to say fair trade,
like considering what AEW would need, maybe someone like a Rhea Ripley.
so like a Ripley, there you go, and like but make that trade. Nobody has to like. There's not to be fallout. Companies don't have to be best friends, but you make the trade and see what happens. That I'd be interested in that. Don't really have a desire or interest in them working together in any way, like putting a show on together.
Yeah.
I want them to stay separate, but that I would definitely be up for.
The problem is the wrestling industry is ripe with mistrust and spite and anger.
But that's why.
And chips on every goddamn person's shoulder.
That's why the trade is the only thing that could work because you can't. Like you could send them away knowing they've got an injury and not tell anyone, but I feel like the person who's going will probably announce that because of like, I need you to know I lost a leg yesterday or whatever it would be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the talent have got to be as up for it and has got to see sort of the potential of it and that. And it's so many moving parts that make it difficult. That, but to Phil's point, it's just we are all so jaded to the idea of it because we're too aware of the utopia that we chase is never going to exist because it's all still.
Imagine if there was a transfer window for wrestling.
Yeah, be incredible.
That would be amazing. Like an actual, like when the
taking
draft
some
season
power
starts.
from the
but this
promoters.
is
And
literally, like they say, August 1st has just come up till September 1st. The two companies can sit down and if they have any players or players, there you go, it's already happened. Any wrestlers they want to trade, put them on the table, see if we can come up with any deals. But once that window's shut, no deals.
Again, very casual perspective is. Someone like CM Punk returning or, Daniel Bryan coming back or going to AEW or whatever, is the appeal of that not in part the impossibility of it in getting over that spike? Like, I think a transfer window would probably be more ethical, maybe, in a way, but
No, it's a good point,
you
actually.
lose that element of, like...
It can never happen.
It can never happen.
Yeah.
Is this going to happen? No matter how many rumors we get, do we believe them
I
when
think
it's
you're right, actually.
legitimized?
That probably is why.
there is jump ship is always the phrase, and that comes with this sort of sense of confrontation and battle, and that's the sort of semantic field that jump ship comes from. Nicholas's collaborative pitch almost makes it too friendly for its own good.
it's too
perhaps.
nice.
That's a good point. Yeah,
It is.
you get to feel like you've won one if one of your favourites has come out. Wrestling pretends that it doesn't want tribalism. It absolutely does. Of course it does. Right, and it is okay. AEW and WWE are moving further away from each other creatively, and that's for the best. Because you probably should like one more than another. You don't like every video game you play.
Yeah.
And this idea that you're supposed to like all of it is bollocks. So when your preferred brand gets a guy, it should feel like a win.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a guy and then they get fumbled, there's that sense of, they're ruining him. Like, he's never going to be as good here as he was there. That kind of, and there's all that sort of extra added spice to it.
It's also the inbuilt nature of wrestling in itself, of like Vince's old adage of reach for the brass ring kind of thing.
Yeah.
People have to prove themselves in order to rise up the card and get to the top. And if you want to get to the top, usually you have to be a bit of a prick about it and like be out for yourself. You wouldn't get that with transfer windows because that'd be, well, I'm going over there to do this stint or this run or whatever, like however I'm used, and then I'll be back over here. If it's like because they're independent contractors and because it's the business side where they have to fight literally for their lives and their livelihoods to get themselves over, it might take away some of that. Not that that might be a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the way wrestling is built.
What's really cool of the era we're in now is that we've never had a situation where, like, AEW will be fine financially. It will get an amazing TV deal, and that's them funded for the next X years. But even if they didn't, they're billionaire back. They're going nowhere, right? And there's going to be a generation of wrestling fans that have grown up just liking AEW, not even watching WWE. Yeah. A 20-year monopoly has given WWE so many advantages in the sense that you are told all the time, until you've done it there at WrestleMania, you've done it nowhere. But now, AEW ran the biggest stadium show ever. So, like, there's going to be kids that are like, I want that. I want to be the AEW world champion. And they're just kids at the moment, but one day they're going to be trained wrestlers, and their goal is going to be AEW first. And the advantage that WWE has had becoming the shorthand for pro wrestling.
That's why a lot of AEW is out. AEW is because a lot of the people in AEW now grew up watching Ring of Honor. And that's a wrestling style that I want to get involved with.
It's never been like, there's never been a longer standing mainstream sort of option since WCW closed in 2001. So that's 2 decades pretty much, where you had tiny like outfits like Ring of Honor or TNA compared to WWE, and that's not the case anymore. So that's going to represent a shift, but we kind of just have to wait 10, 15 years to see the true sort of benefit of that.
That's interesting. I never thought about the long-term storytelling, but going back to narratives, AEW from a casual perspective is definitely, the narrative is right, like that's legitimate wrestling. That's where you go if you want to wrestle. Like, I don't know whether that's true. I don't know whether it's false, but
it's true, all right.
People jumping over and pushing that narrative, it makes the split, I imagine, more enticing to up-and-comers, you know, who have a real choice between not just what technical style do I want to commit to, but what overall ideology do I want to commit to, you
Ups their value too. Yeah. You can make people fight for your contract and pay you more, and they're so rich. These companies are so wrestlers are underpaid. So you know, like
what I would love would be if there was just one, and let's just say, because it would be the most interesting if it was Punk, right? Somehow, someone managed to achieve the Don Draper of pro wrestling, where it was like
contract
free, and you permit me to go around I can just turn up on any show I want, basically. Yeah. Now the trust involved is obviously wild. And it's not quite the Don, because he never would have gone anywhere else. But it was like the sort of unwritten thing, I won't leave. But just that someone who was given that one super special, like, that person can just, I'm not saying it for either of you, but if you want me, I'll come up and show up whenever if you're paying the money. If the money's right, I'll come on the night. That would be fascinating. And someone like a Punk would work that in an insane way. It will never, ever happen in a million years.
What's Moxley's deal now? Because again, I don't know anything about it, but he seems to be jumping all over. Who's he currently tied to?
He, per the rumor mill, he's not been like terribly thrilled with AEW Creative, but as a result, he was given the opportunity to work some New Japan dates. He became their world champion briefly, and I think that was kind of do you want this? Like, you're a bit unhappy with whatever's going on, which is fine. Like, wrestlers get like that. He's had 5 years with AEW, but AEW and New Japan have that link. Yeah. So it feels less like a radical career choice. Same with the like Bloodsport and the jiu-jitsu tournaments he's been doing. He's got such trust with Tony Khan that he's permitted to go and do these things because he wants to do them. Right. I guess to Nicholas's point, he is a guy that sort of, WWE wouldn't count as that, but I would imagine he'd be allowed to go anywhere he wanted due to what he's done for AEW and for Tony Khan. He's built that trust within that company.
Yeah, anyone they're happy to play with, basically.
Yeah, and he loves
almost everyone.
He loves that. He loves the weird stuff. So he likes the chance to, like, he's done Wembley. So this year, he'd probably rather get in the mud and work a strange indie show than fly all the way to England to work Wembley again. That's kind of his. But again, that's the mentality of certain wrestlers. Some wrestlers wouldn't want that. The Miz is probably a guy.
WWE are coming much closer to it than they ever have done before, though. We saw Shayna Baszler in Bloodsport, and like Johnny Gargano at SummerSlam weekend was wrestling for AEW, and it's like that has never happened before. No. It's like it's obviously never going to be an AEW crossover, but they're allowing people to do things if it's something they really want to.
And you still think that I can't help thinking they're going to try and crush them all. Like in my head, it's like you got to read a history book on this.
Yeah. If any of those companies who are letting the wrestlers come in, it's because WWE are like, well, let's just see what happens. Like Pro Wrestler Noah, didn't they have a few guys?
2 NXT guys are in the M1.
So they're not. You should definitely be looking at it and going, what are you up to?
Yeah,
what's going on in here? I never know, man.
We've been here a while. We should probably explain what we're doing here.
Yeah,
for
we
anyone
should.
who is new.
It's because Josh is here. That's why. We're getting all excited about talking to Josh, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to go, actually.
That's okay.
Oh,
Look at
sorry.
that.
I know, I feel...
Oh, we didn't even plan that, honestly.
Didn't know. I'm very self-conscious that I'm just having everyone explain wrestling to me and everyone's watching like, what the hell is this?
Maybe that's somebody.
What the
Maybe someone
fuck
who's been
is
turning out every
this?
week who has no idea.
Maybe,
Just been
yeah,
going,
maybe.
I've never had the courage to ask. Now I know. Thank you, Josh.
Before Phil probably explains, though, it has been a pleasure to be on this, and thank you to everyone who's donated. It's a fantastic cause.
You gonna do a dance before you go, or what?
I might do a little jig
Yeah?
on the way out. Depends if anyone else donates, I suppose.
Hey,
look at
that's
that.
good.
I will leave you on that note.
Before anyone donates, real
Before
quick.
anyone, before anyone does it, I'll run back down and do a little jog.
He's just a busy man.
Enjoy yourselves.
See you later, Josh.
See you later.
Hi, Josh.
Of course.
Yeah.
Bye, Josh.
So yeah, we are here.
All right, enough of that, asshole.
Get to it, goddammit. It's WrestleCulture time. It's actually MarcelCulture time because we are here to raise money for Marcel Laviolette's GoFundMe. His childhood home was destroyed in Hurricane Beryl, and he has a GoFundMe page which is linked directly in the description below if you want to go and check that out. But all the money that we raise from this stream is going to go onto that GoFundMe. So all of the super chats, all of the donations, everything like that. But I will say, if you super chat, YouTube will take 40% of that, and we will only get 60% of it to put on the GoFundMe. There is a link in the pinned chat and in the description to a Streamlabs link where we get 100% of donations, but you need a PayPal account to be able to use that. So if you can't use that, we'll still get money from the super chats, but use that because we'll get 100% of the Streamlabs one.
There you go. You
Good
okay?
work,
Do you need a
Phil.
minute?
Thank you for that.
There
No,
we
that was-
go.
That was good.
Someone's going to do all
That's
the really hard work.
That's the hard yards.
Speaking of the hard, before we dive into anything else, do we have a little running total? Do we know how much we have?
I've got
total?
genuinely no idea because
No
everything's
idea?
spread about so
Yeah,
much.
I
is
can't
it.
see that on mine. At the
We
moment, I don't
have.
think.
Are you on one of you on YouTube?
I'm on YouTube. Yeah. Can I? If I click that?
Is
one?
this
No. I won't
is
be able to
this
see it to the end.
revenue or profit? I don't know.
Actually,
is this with the 40% cut or without? Because I think I'm at almost £200 in the
What?
Streamlabs thing. That's just in the Streamlabs.
Are you on the YouTube chat revenue?
Uh-huh.
We are at 263.
Oh my
So
god.
263 on YouTube and almost 200 on Streamlabs. I
Chasing
think.
£500 already from ourselves.
Well, our target was at least 300 because then we will match everything up to 300. So we are going to slam a big £300 onto the GoFundMe at the end of this as well. But I mean, the target is just whatever we get, more.
Whatever
The target
we
is more,
Yeah.
basically.
So currently, 263 here.
Mhm.
All at 264 is 263.95.
There you go. 264 plus at least 400 quid we've raised at the very least, probably like
amazing.
440.
And then plus the 300 from Future as well.
Plus the 340 from Future, that's 4, 5, 6, 740. 740 quid.
Oh,
So if we raise like another 260 quid, then we've got £1,000, and that's a nice round number.
Look, I'm not. It's the only time I will ever be pushy. Because we always just appreciate that people are here. And by the way,
10 grand.
right? Oh, call your kids, Hamflett. We're not coming home. I don't know why I'm not coming home because it's got nothing to do with me, your kids. But anyway,
God, I wish.
But tell your kids I'm not coming
tell
home.
your kids who don't know me that I'm still not going to be known. Let's try and get it to £1,000, shall we?
Let's try and get it
If
to
we
£1,000.
can, it's going to be hard. I'm not saying that
We've still got time.
We've got time.
We've got like a
One-
hard out at like
one-
5
yeah.
p.m. UK time.
Five
so that's
five
like,
o'clock's the hard out, but
what? Midday Eastern.
yeah,
So
we
that's
got
a
time.
hard out.
Let's see if we can get there. Well, I'm not saying it'll be a failure if we haven't, because it's been great so far. But
Exactly.
I like goals. I'm a goal-orientated man.
Let's
like
get
that.
So let's make that happen. So let's help. Let's make it happen. I will never normally be pushy on our streams because we always love it when we get them just out of the good of your hearts. But this is for a great cause, and Marcel's been here in just about literally every comment I can remember being video. Certainly since we started the podcast channel as well, and in like many videos and podcasts before that, I'm sure. So we like to help people.
Yeah.
Let's
If
make
you're
it
wondering why we're doing this, just long-time viewer,
Yeah.
part of our community, and it's
Because
that's
I
it.
can
That's-
imagine
that's literally the only
it
reason.
must really suck if something like this happens, and I would love help if it happened to me, and I think we're in a position where we can do that. So why the hell not?
It's easy to get lost, like talking about donations and all this sort of stuff. But all the comments today, like the amount of sort of support around Marcel, like we sort of feel it too, don't we? It's great.
Yeah.
Just for
That doesn't
everybody
include anyone that's donated directly to his GoFundMe as well. By the way.
Of course, yeah.
That takes a while to update, I think.
I'll check. I'll do that well.
But speaking of, Sailor Airman has been on and said, idea, a year from now, LA Knight has dropped the US title, Joe Hendry is on the main roster, and they form a tag team, nay or yay?
I mean, I don't know about yay or nay, but I'll do LA or yeah.
Well, he did say yay or nay or yeah.
Why not at the moment? Why not? I would say, I am on a weekly basis at this point trying to work.
LA Knight can sing.
I think he would give it a bloody good go.
Bloody good go.
Bloody good go. Is what's Joe Hendry's ceiling in WWE? There's never been a better time for him to. We can all kind of agree that there's never been a better time for Joe Hendry to hit the way he's hitting right now.
Absolutely.
And I think his work is like more than comparable with plenty of people on WWE's main roster. So all the important stuff, the root and branch stuff, we're good to go. We've seen him from the root and branch, But I can't work out at the moment, based on this TNA NXT thing, when they can kind of go like full bore with it. In my mind, and this is pure speculation, if you're Joe Hendry, you're wanting this at least to continue to the Rumble, because that is a different stratosphere. If you come out at any of those numbers and you get a big pop in a stadium, or even half the crowd know who you are, or you get to exchange fists with WWE's top bracket, Roman could be in the Rumble, CM Punk would like to be in the Rumble. If you're just...
It is crossing over to the main WWE audience as well, because you see him in crowd signs all the time now.
That's it, yeah.
It is. It's getting there. People are figuring it out.
And somebody says, LA Knight, US title. I don't think that's out of the question whatsoever for Joe Hendry. It's hard to see it at the moment.
Like Elias, I guess, is the closest thing you could probably get in like a WWE system of that kind of an act.
Mm-hmm. And they do like those acts.
And there's always a place for those acts.
Because it's a great way to take up TV time on a 3-hour show.
Or
2-hour show.
The thing with Joe, though, as well, is he's shown through his indie work that this isn't his only gear.
No, for sure.
Like he can do heel up stuff. He can remove the song stuff entirely from his repertoire. He can do the song stuff as both babyface or heel, which works. That obviously elongates stuff in general. But he can, like all the prestige stuff he did in WCPW, for example. Like he can be that like straight, I'm better than you.
Yeah, he can
heel kind of character as well, and he can go on
be
the
a
mic.
real bastard, Joe. He wants to be
a real bastard, and he can go on the mic.
Sure.
He was doing the being a dick to fans thing before MJF was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
Yes, WWE's themes archive that you'd have access to, that you could do the parody songs
so
based.
This is the thing. It'd be fascinating to see what Joe's creativity could look like with WWE's backing.
Yeah.
He'd obviously have to try and keep that charm of his, because I think part of it's always been that it looks a bit like...
Bit janky.
It's just a bit janky. It's like a mask that's been basically stapled onto his face. There's a bit of paper, rather than looking like this. But if you can find a nice middle ground, like weirdly, and I'm obviously not trying to put any lofty comparisons on because this comes with a big legacy, but like I'm immediately thinking of the magic they create with like Bray Wyatt's presenter persona, when he'd be outside of the Fiend work. Like
the Firefly Funhouse.
Funhouse stuff was like really great. And Joe in that environment, but doing his songs or whatever, like obviously not in the Firefly Funhouse, but I mean like
Joe Hendry show.
Exactly. There's like a little world that could be built there, and he'd be great in that. And
Elias got his own album out.
Number one album on
album,
Apple. What's it called? Music.
Yeah.
What's that thing that he plays again? Oh, music. There you go.
And like streaming figures are not going to be nothing for WWE. The amount of times people play these songs and stuff like that, and they're going to be making money from it.
I'm sure.
Maybe not with Def Rebel, but with Joe Hendry.
Well, I'm sure. Well, I say I'm sure, but I don't want to put words in Joe's mouth. But I would imagine if someone said to him, Joe, we can get you a number one album, I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, it was how exciting it was watching him in the charts and like seeing him take
real turning point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I like this stuff that he's been doing has been over in TNA, but there's over and then there's over.
Yeah.
Well, then it's the one thing WWE wants more than anything. People who don't watch wrestling.
Crossover.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
If you can find a way to go and get him, and that's it. And if Joe can get him in that position where maybe they want to give him the ball in that area.
Yeah. Like, it's an instant thing as well. Like you see Joe Hendry doing a parody song. You don't need to really know anything about it. It can be funny just to be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to check out what this guy does as like a way in kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, literally, like you were saying there, the amount of Jim Johnson songs he could parody, ridiculous.
The stuff people love rather than the current stuff.
Obsessed with. Like he could definitely do that. It'd be great to see.
I suppose this is the kind of thing where Joe Hendry might not right now be in this conversation, but would look to get into the future. Daniel Morrow's been on. Hey lads, watching from Australia and just trying to help out with what little I can. Thank you very much for your donation, Daniel.
Man, appreciate it.
Thanks for the work you all put in every week, especially through wacky summer. Question. Let's go around the table on this one. What are your match of the year picks so far? We're in August. This is a kind of good time to do
God,
this.
I hate these
Is it a
questions
good
because
time
I
to
actually
do
have
this?
to remember.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'll start if you want thinking time. It's AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes from Backlash for me.
Interesting. You said
Did
this.
love that crowd. Obviously, it wasn't necessarily always to do with the match. They were just doing the phenomenal song, but the match itself was the kind of, I don't know if it was the start of, but it certainly felt like the beginning of this AJ Styles Indian summer that he's having, where he's just had banger after banger after banger, to borrow Sheamus's terminology. So I love that.
I'm listening to you, by the way. I'm just trying to
It's
figure out if the match that I'm thinking of was this year or last year. I'm so old. I don't know anymore.
This won't count, and I know that, but the CM Punk Cody Rhodes match within match in the Royal Rumble was absolutely next level. Like to consider that Punk was now working that with a torn tricep as well, but the stakes couldn't have been any higher. That moment of like, you are getting given this thing, but you're not even getting given it. It's this is the match I want more than anything, and I'm not even getting it really. I'm just getting this perfect taste in the perfect setting. I was just, when I think about the feeling that wrestling is supposed to give you, that is it for me. I'm trying to come up with an AEW one as well, but those were the two that jumped out for me.
Yeah, so the one I was thinking of wasn't this year.
What was it?
So my brain has been stuck on Swerve and Hangman in the Texas
blood
Death.
drinking. Yeah.
But I know it was like November last year, so it wasn't. But it's the one that comes back in my head because it, as I have mentioned many times, I don't know if you've been listening to this when I'm on WrestleCulture. I don't watch all the time now because thankfully I was like, yes, you do this now. You guys do this now. Phil's the same. We watch when we can. And obviously, you get a lot of Miller's ups and downs stuff literally in your brain. I get to listen to them talk about it on podcasts. But the actual watching of matches, it can be hit and miss. It's just very selective these days. So I've never got one if I am watching, it's a rarity. So I wouldn't be able to say, like, by comparison to all the other matches that have happened. I hear from these guys about the really great matches that have happened. But I'm not sure if I'd be able to nail it on. I don't think it'd be fair for me to try and give a one. But I can tell you that out of the ones I have seen, and I'll maybe go seen live as well, I really, really loved Rollins and McIntyre from that opening night. Oh my! Well, not the opening night, the second night, right? Night 2.
Yeah. Brought the Brock Lesnar formula back to life.
Yeah,
didn't it? Yeah.
in a way that it shouldn't have worked, and it just really made me appreciate, because I feel like Seth's work across that entire weekend and in the build to all of this and stuff was just like. Just really, really great. And I find it hard to say that about Seth sometimes because I'm like, I remember when I loved you, boy. And he shouldn't have been the MVP, really, from an era where, a time where it was like Roman, The Rock, and Cody were all operating at peak levels.
Yeah.
He's came out roses for me. So I'm not saying it's the best match, but I'm saying probably in terms of excitement being there, or I know you weren't into it that much. Sami Zayn and Gunther.
I was literally just
well.
gonna say Sami Zayn and Gunther.
I'm so sorry.
Yoink! That's mine now. I really like that. I think Sami Zayn is the perfect guy for Gunther, and especially that version of Sami Zayn, which is a version we've not really seen a lot of in this run. Like he always holds back a gear for a lot of matches. Like I think I fully expected it to come out when he was doing the Roman Reigns stuff, but he never really brought it out in that either. But it's that pure indie fire Sami Zayn that obviously his NXT one was kind of built on. Like that came out in the Gunther match for the first time in a long time. Because he absolutely had to, exactly for that. And the haluva kick and the brainbuster in the corner. And it's like, oh my God, it was so good. In terms of a moment of just, Sami Zayn deserves this. Is like, it was a big deal beating Gunther. It
was huge.
It was massive.
Huge deal.
I think what was nice about that as well in the build was that first little glimpse into not the first glimpse, but the real cemented glimpse of how Gunther could be a real bastard.
Yeah.
Like it made you feel like he's turned it up to such a level where you really, even though we all thought Sami Zayn was just a placeholder until they figured out who was actually going to take it, you were like, he better lose his belt. He's been a right bastard to Sami Zayn. Nobody gets to do that to Sami Zayn. And as the match went on, I think everybody was almost with Sami in that, like, you were in his shoes of the belief that he can win. He's like, I think I can win. I know. but how you're supposed to feel is what I felt like. I felt like I was feeling it with him. I am going to win this, actually. I'm going to fucking kick you again and again and again. And then a brainbuster. Oh, the brainbuster was insane.
So good.
that was
everyone
the
lost
right
their mind.
place and time for that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
In terms of
obviously, go on.
I was going to say, just in terms of like big dumb crowd reactions, Reigns versus Cody.
It's like we've been cherry picking from each other's brain. I was about to say, aside from the Undertaker dong, the madness of the second half of that, and Jimmy and Jay immediately redeeming themselves by going. It was when Jay hit him, and Jay ends up like this. Jay ends up like this, and I was like, I think he's in real trouble, because why are them people running towards him?
I wasn't aware the stage was the edge of the world. Right there.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, well, there you go.
But just the escalation on it of that's cool,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
cool. Like just so much
Trying
fun.
to think of the AEW matches that I've seen
The
this year.
one that sprung to mind for me, and I don't know if this is like low key by comparison, because the match was anything but low key. But friggin' Darby Allin versus Konosuke Takeshita from the start of this year.
Was that? See,
on
if that
Dynamite.
was, I remember this. I did actually watch
And
this.
that's the point, right?
Yeah,
Like, we talk about the content churn and everything.
Oh,
Unbelievable. Darby Allin. Initially,
God, it was
I'm predisposed to not like a guy like Darby Allin, mainly because I think his like black and white movies are just A-level media studies dross.
Well, it is.
But the matches, like, is there anybody that has as many good matches or can be relied upon to basically make, like, think about Samoa Joe and becoming the AEW
Is he the
World Champion.
Charlotte Flair of AEW?
Darby Allin?
During that
Oh,
run
from
where
that
she used
run
to
she
have
had,
best
she
matches
was
with
the
everybody.
common denominator.
They were like, she's giving everyone the best match.
Not only do I love that take, I love it even more out of context.
Yeah.
So like, I may have made a similar but different comparison on Twitter yesterday and got myself in an awful lot of trouble.
Oh, no.
But no, it's
More on that later. Donate now to find out the real story.
If we hit 1,000 pounds.
he's just, everybody looks better through wrestling Darby Allin. And like, actually, and on that, if we want to talk more AEW, but the kind of like, that's the one for me. That's the AEW match of the year, but a contender.
Jay White one was good. Like Jay was like trying to reheat Jay
to stop him going up Everest and stuff.
Yeah.
But the one that had just as much of the spectacle that we were talking about with WrestleMania, Darby and Sting versus the Young Bucks.
Of
That was
course.
perfection.
Yeah,
that
close,
was
that was
perfection.
delicious.
I tell you what, I think the Sting retirement in general is just really,
Absolutely.
really well handled. Because I remember watching that. God, I was still watching at this point, like regularly. But I remember feeling like the way that the match went down was like I was convinced. For my brain was telling me they're probably gonna have to lose. It's gonna be like their lads are gonna. But as the match is going on, I don't want him to lose. I don't want him to lose. Now maybe I was naive to think that he was gonna. But it's just great, wasn't it?
They nailed it. The whole run.
Just the whole thing was
whole run.
really, really perfect.
That's the new standard for booking a legend.
I think so.
Sting and everybody.
Oh,
Like, Tony
and like
Khan has got
100%.
that. Like,
10
that's
out
it.
of 10.
Nailed
Them
it.
party matches for Sting were like hide everything and just let him be wild, and him
Yeah.
still doing some crazy things at his age as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Nuts.
Really great.
Danielson Ospreay as well, if you're just chucking out.
Yeah.
Matches.
Yeah, man.
It's like, this is what the level we're at now, isn't it? Where like that can exist in a year with all these other things. It's like,
You know,
the best versus the other best. And yeah.
Start writing these down. Because I have been watching some of
yeah.
that. The more I like, name it, I'm like, I have watched that one. I
I know that match.
I do know.
This is going to give me the segue, right? Because I've been looking forward to talking about this. There's not a load of headlines, but
Was
there's a couple of interesting.
the triple threat, Joe, Swerve, Hangman.
Yeah, that was this year.
That was this year?
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, and it needed Adam Wilborn's finish.
Yes.
The finish just needed a slight tweaking, and it would have been really high tier for me.
They've gotten away with it, but that was where you should have strapped up Swerve.
Yes.
That was the night, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Meltzer's come through with the SummerSlam star ratings.
Is he in the comments? Hi, Dave.
Thanks.
Do we want to do the
thanks for
office
giving us
guessing
that
game, or
skill.
would you like me to just run through some of the headlines?
I feel like you want to do the office guest
Yeah, we
game,
might
and
as well
I'm,
try.
Go on.
I'm ready to help you out with that.
Liv
I'm gonna
Morgan.
give you
I'll
some.
tell you what. I tell
I
you
say,
what.
Ashley, lad.
This leads so perfectly into the bloody good quiz.
Oh.
I'm just gonna put that out there.
You did a Fidelity.
Right, so we're not doing that then. We're not doing the.
No, we're doing that.
Oh, we can
No,
do
it's
this
not
one.
bad.
No, I'm just saying we'll cut it out. I don't want to lead nicely into your quiz. I don't want to give you that. So there you go. I'm getting donations from people. I don't need
if
you.
I still have the notes, I cannot see them on my phone. So you never
It's
know.
because I've
You've deleted
seen
them out of spite,
They might be
haven't
on my
you?
laptop instead.
I've seen a couple of SummerSlam related comments
Yes.
coming through. So like,
Come on
we'll
then, let's go.
crack these now. So we'll just go in
So
order
if
of the card.
you've just tuned in, you've come at the best/worst time, because we're going to dive into Dave Meltzer's star ratings.
Yep.
And you're going to get mad because he's wrong probably, and you're going to get mad at us for having the wrong guess, and nobody's going to win except him.
Yeah.
who's
And
just
traditionally, there is always at least one match that is more than 3.5 stars,
course.
which Dave changed the game with when he gave that to Punk Joe last
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
it's like, We play this in the office, legit. So like these, when there's ever a big show,
Yeah.
Meltzer, Sidgwick is normally one who reads them out and we all have a guess. So we'll do a miniature version of that. So we'll just go in order of the card here. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley.
There's a man who hasn't watched any of SummerSlam, pretty much.
Ooh.
Apart from the finishes, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not a lunatic. I want YouTube. I keep up on these things. I'm going to say that match got 4 stars, Michael Hamflett.
Okay.
I'm going to say.
That's fun, because I was going to say 4 stars as well.
Well, were you know? Well, I said it first.
I'm going to go because he's a bit weird. 3.75.
Yeah.
Oh, you've applied Meltzer tax, but not enough. It's 3.5. It's
Only as good as
Joe.
CM Punk and Joe.
Sami Zayn
I
versus...
just thought maybe the drama element you might have liked, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big Dave, he's a little drama queen.
I'm skimming these, and this is maybe a
He
clue,
also
maybe
hates
not.
women, though, so.
Yeah, more on that shortly, yeah. I'd go probably a quarter star higher on pretty much all of these personally. I don't know if that's a clue or not. Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker.
I mean, the shortness of it was probably
Yeah,
right
it
for
was
that
fun.
match. Yeah,
Yep.
fun match.
It's not exactly a classic, but it was
No.
fun.
3.5 again.
3.75.
2.5. That's again, I
Meltsy, baby.
That's his taste.
do not like this length equals quality
Yeah.
thing at all. We need to go in the other direction as far as I'm concerned
That
there.
was fun.
Logan Paul versus LA Knight. Yeah.
No idea. 2.75.
I was going to say 2.75.
Well, you
God
didn't.
Damn it,
All
get
right.
out of my goddamn head. It was longer than the other one, so I'm going to stick at 2.75.
So we agreed on 2.75 here.
Yes.
Yeah.
4 fucking stars. Logan, LA Knight.
My word.
I should
don't
point
know-
out, don't get mad at me. I haven't watched it, so I can't. I'm just pulling one out my
I
ass.
definitely preferred Sammy versus
You
Braun.
might have seen the spot. There was they went for the
I haven't
superplex. And it sort of
I haven't seen it.
He almost killed him.
under/over rotated and became a super brain buster.
Oh my
He
god.
almost killed Logan Paul. It was a real fucking
It was
nudge.
pretty funny.
Pretty good, actually.
Bailey versus Nia Jax.
What did the boys say about this in the podcast? I think I'd actually gone to the toilet at this point.
3.25.
2.75 again.
Oh, Nicholas was closer. 2.5.
5.
That's a little hot. Again,
That
I'd
is
go
a little
maybe a
harsh.
quarter, maybe go 3. Like, Nia is locked in this character and was more drawn in than a traditional 2.5. The big one, because we're comparing it to Wembley, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Split the entire
3.5.
I think he's not going to like this.
3.5.
3.25. I think it was too much.
Yeah, I think maybe it might be
nonsense.
lower because he doesn't like the silliness of
Yeah,
Seth, maybe.
melodrama.
Monologuing and the melodrama. Flat 3.
Oh,
Joe
flat
Punk better
3.
than Drew Punk.
Yeah.
So there's the new Hell in a Cell watermark to try and top.
So that's how WWE have changed CM Punk forever, Michael.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah, where else could people find a video like that, eh?
On the What Culture Wrestling main channel this weekend. When's it? When's that?
I don't know. It's not my channel.
There's at some point, myself and Will will sit down to discuss how WWE have changed CM Punk forever. It's long form conversations with you, similar to the podcast, but it's going to be going out on the main channel.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes out for that one.
Spoiler, pitched as a bad video.
Yeah, we kind of made it
Delivered
as
as
a
a
bit of both.
good. Is it? Maybe it's a good thing, actually.
We steered into the division, I would say.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I believe what you call this is the Simon Miller tactic.
Yes, yes.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Speaking of which, by the way, Simon Miller versus Danhausen last night.
Yeah.
Little clips are creeping out online, but whenever
Yeah.
that appears on streaming services,
excited.
it feels like a must see, doesn't it?
He was a bit
Danhausen.
giddy when I was talking to him this
Yeah,
morning.
right, yeah.
I bet he was as well. I can't tell you how much that is probably one of his big time. Like,
Him and Orange Cassidy are like
Yeah.
Miller's 2 dream matches.
it fit perfectly into his credo of like wanting goofy wrestling in his
Yeah.
life and to be part of it with the arguably the most goofiest in like the best possible way.
Well,
and he got
actually-
cursed for 5 minutes. So.
That would explain. I've got the rating here. Dave's gone a flat 6. So
Just the 6.
just a 6 for now. I mean, he's maybe only seen a fan cam.
Hasn't even given him a golden up.
Damien Priest versus Gunther.
Oh. I'm just gonna make noises until. All I can do is go back to the podcast and try and think about how
Yeah.
excited these guys were for it. And then does that translate to Drake or not?
Drake?
Drake Meltzer is his younger brother. Who loves them kind of matches, Drake Meltzer. So maybe.
What was that? 4.25.
He does love Gunther, doesn't he? I'm sure he would love
Yeah.
Gunther. I feel like he'd be up Drew. Drew, he's Drew now.
Drake and Dave.
Apparently, I've been cursed by Dan House, and I can't say Darren Meltzer's name anymore. It's impossible. Derek Meltzer just keeps coming up with different names. I'm going to say 3.5. Why not? Because it's punker.
3.5, 4.25. I got those ratings right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh, I think it's you. It's not
the
me.
direction.
It ain't me, pal.
Bingo! Phil Chambers.
Yeah.
4.25 on the nose there. Love that. The bit where Priest looks at the screen to see that the turn's happening. That's my moment of the whole show. That lunges
is like
bursting out of that sleeper.
I was like, whoa.
The look on his face as he burst through the rope.
It's so hard, like, because the great thing about that is like, obviously, it's a work, I know that, but like, you can't really work that, like, because you
just got to grab
shot your arm. You just got to shoot your arm, and Finn's ready for it, and it's like, that's amazing. It's like you said it, and I felt exactly like that. When his arm goes through that thing and grabs him, I'm feeling like it's going to come out the telly, and I'm like, oh Jesus, you're not supposed to ground like that.
Last but not least, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa.
Oh,
the big main event test of Solo Sikoa, the return of the OTC.
3.75.
And I feel like at this point I've gone with this one for a couple of them. 3.5 stars. The CM Punk Samoa Joe rating.
No, dear, that's wrong. No, dear, that's wrong.
Oh, thanks.
4 stars.
Well,
that's got to be seen as a big success for Solos. Again, there's going to be debates.
He doesn't normally like nonsense.
There's going to be debates. There is. I want to get into Mimi Boris's message about SummerSlam just very quickly. Thank you for your donations, Victor Bottino, for a quick look at you now, Marcel.
Look at you now.
And Blood, Sweat and Taco, which I assume is related to the Jack Perry injection on Dynamite this week. Thank you very much for those, Victor. Thank you for your donations. But Mimi Boris does say, yes, great thing you guys are doing here. Thank you very much, Mimi, and thanks for getting involved and donating. Do you think there were too many screwy finishes at SummerSlam? So this is where I can
come in, because I have seen all the finishes.
We had a long WhatsApp chat about SummerSlam, and it was kind of centered around it being such a story-heavy show. Too many screwy finishes? Like, just in general, where did SummerSlam sit with you as an event?
I feel like narratively, a lot of the storylines that I felt like meant to play out at SummerSlam and how they were meant to play out did.
Yeah.
Like, screwy finishes, I understand, if you're getting too many of them, it can really... Sometimes you just want it to be definitive.
Yep.
WWE's problem has usually been screwy finishes applied to everything. Everybody goes 50-50 and like nobody goes further forward. We don't put anybody over anymore. That hasn't been happening a lot recently that much. Like
kind of the opposite. Everyone feels like a star.
Everyone feels like a star as a result, because people are losing, people are winning.
Yeah.
And the people who are losing and it doesn't matter are going on to better things. It's like, oh, that's okay. You can, that person can lose then. And this person can win and shoot off the Cody Rhodes is probably a great example. Have your top guy win.
Yeah,
but don't have them win.
Fans back winners.
Fans back winners, right? Mm-hmm. I would say I'm not usually. I'd like probably more definitive finishes myself, but I think for what stories were on the table, and I think for how many like matches there were, I wasn't against them, because mostly of how they aided the stories they were meant to, and I want the finale. You want Roman Reigns involved.
Yes.
That finish is that finish.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly so. Dominic Mysterio absolutely had to be involved in the finish with Rhea.
Massive payoff.
Huge. But these are payoffs, exactly. Yeah. These are payoffs. So I guess the short version is, for me, on the night, no. But in general, maybe just... To be fair, they've been pretty good with it recently, I think.
Yeah.
I can't really criticise
most DQs and countouts now are the exception to the rule, and they feel quite earned, don't they?
It feels different. Like, it feels like a one-off. Like, even the closest one to being like was probably the Jade Cargill one in the Queen of the Ring.
Oh, aye. And we kind of know that was a booking change.
Yeah, and that was a booking change, and it was like, oh, okay, we'll allow it. But it felt like a outlier.
Yeah.
And where they've definitely got better at it, I think.
I give them a pass with this one only because they've literally booked the next 6 months of TV on the back of this. Yeah. Like, it's not like these are throwaway finishes. No. These are big stories leading into the rest of the year's storylines.
They don't feel out of place in the story where they are. I get that was the really short way of saying what I rambled on about 3 minutes in. So there you go.
But again, we have obviously the benefit of hindsight doing this on a Friday as opposed to doing it on a Monday morning. Often in wrestling, you get so much right in the moment, and then you kind of squander the follow-up, and it doesn't feel as good as it could do. Couldn't be more the opposite, could it? Yeah. Raw was an illustration maybe of the successes of SummerSlam, because there's a 1-2 punch those two shows and the payoffs that led to brand new chapters of the stories.
And then the new chapters you didn't even see coming.
Raw was
my God,
masterclass stuff. Honestly, Triple H is maybe his best night as a booker. I don't know if that's like.
Have you heard about this guy called Bronson Reed? Actually, I've been talking about him for weeks. I've actually been saying he's the best thing in wrestling. So
well, actually, why you've just said that.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
Like.
Oh my God.
You said it, and you're obviously right because you've been watching this for far too long. In the best possible way. I've said with love. Like, you can only take these risks when you are hot and you have earned the payoffs. So, like, you got a lot of things you were promised at SummerSlam. How it's always meant to have worked. Like how WrestleManias used to work before. It was like, what if I just didn't give them anything? Like, for years and years and years, and all the other pay-per-views, to be fair. You give them payoffs. You give the Mania payoffs. Obviously, Cody actually finishing the story. Even at SummerSlam, however many months later, we are still getting them. These are payoffs that are well earned from stories that have been well crafted to characters who have been well pushed or well promoted to you. And you are allowed to then take risks. You can then have a gamble, and people will be receptive. You try that Bronson Reed move back in the era. I've always go to 2019 because it was just the god-awful day at waste. Try that then.
Well, it's what's his face.
Don't think it means anything.
Who's the guy? The big guy.
Braun Strowman.
No, he's really rubbish. He got a 5-star match for Bryan Danielson, the big guy from NXT.
Lars Sullivan.
Thank you. Lars Sullivan. But he was there, killing guys, and it meant nothing, did it?
Yeah, that's a perfect example actually of that exact turn up on it and be the killer, and nobody was bothered.
Yeah,
absolutely nobody cared. This is like comes because you're like, if you're telling me he's good now, it means that in a X amount of months.
Yeah.
I said to you, I texted you after watching most of the finishes for SummerSlam. It was like, it felt like the first time where I've seen, and I was like deep in the weeds with NXT when it was Triple H's Black and Gold era, maybe before they tried to be the skull and all that. But the really good one. That formula was great, and this felt like the first time I feel like outside of the Mania end, he's really nailed it. Where it wasn't too many matches, it was just the right amount of matches, and they all felt like, here are the people you need to watch out now. Braun Breaker. Who the hell's that? Braun Breaker.
I watched them as a tag team.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Braun Breaker. This guy is now the IC champ. Watch him. He's going to be the world champ next, like at some point.
Yeah.
Looking across the way, LA Knight. Nice to see they've stuck with him. He's the US champ now. And across the way, you've now got Nia Jax, who's winning of the Queen of the Ring, has paid off into this. She's been excellent since she came back. Nobody saw that coming. Of course you can take risks. Bronson Reed, that is like...
Trust the process.
Massively so.
It was never coming back in WWE, and it's back. Trusting the process is properly all the way back, I think. That's where those reactions come from.
It's like it's informed by what's happened before. I'm not going to give them full credit for everything that have happened with Bronson Reed. It was leading up to this point.
No.
Like, I'm not quite ready to give them that yet. But they've used what has happened and all of the kind of screwing around, or sort of around the IC picture scene, but like never quite getting there.
Yeah.
And it's always like been the other guy rather than the guy.
He's getting a bit desperate, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's running out of road.
But then they tied all that into the stuff with Adam Pearce, and then him saying, like, basically, screw you, I'll take this. And then going out and doing that. It's like all of that frustration and whatever from that character has informed this move where it was just like, holy cow, he was not kidding.
No.
Even in that in itself, if you know, and again, like we've always said it, right? If they are bad, we will criticize them for being bad. If they are good, we will praise them for being good. And for years, I wouldn't have let them have these things because there would have been accidental flukes, a lot of them, right? Even the fact that Bronson Reed has had that chat with Adam Pearce and then been like, why am I not getting the chances? And I'll basically make my own chance, right? Sod you. He's literally just watched Braun Breaker win the belt against Sami Zayn, whose whole MO was, I'm really pissed because you're not putting us on the show, and let me show you what I'm going to do if you don't put me on the show.
That's a good point,
He's literally copied it, like, took his homework and went, well, I'll tell you what works for him.
Yeah.
I'm literally watching that guy hold a belt that I couldn't even get in the air to.
Anything you can do. I can do.
And he's come out and done the same thing.
I am convinced.
Because in the world, that's also how that works, and they've established that now.
Yeah.
So expect more of that, because people will go point to each other and be like, well, he's doing it, so I'm doing it.
I can't remember the week I said this after a Raw, but there was some sort of, like, just really nice bit of continuity, real lovely attention to detail earlier this year. Might have even been on the road to WrestleMania, but I could swear now there's a show Bible.
Yeah,
There's
I think so.
it feels like they are.
You coming in excited with that And like Sidge was very much like, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah,
no.
we talk about Chris Kresge's storyboarding in 2000, how they took the piss out of him for it, and how it just so happens that run was probably the tightest creatively WWE's ever been up until now. It feels like there's a show Bible, there's character profiles, there's sort of the big spider diagrams in the home team writer office in Connecticut, where it's like, well, when did they feud with him? Who's done that with him, and so and so.
Who's already had matches with so and so.
They will mention, I am certain of it, they will mention that Bronson Reed was set to get a title shot in Perth, and Seth Rollins' injuries and commitment to Cody Rhodes cost him that night. That will come up. Yeah. He's like, you were ultimately caught in my crossfire, but I've kind of been waiting to stick one on you for that.
That's it as well. It wasn't like it's random on the night because you think, bloody hell. Yeah. But then if you actually think about it, it's like, well, no.
Yeah. And even if it's backward engineering, it's in a book somewhere that Bronson lost that and he's never really recovered it.
I feel like, did he not, was that not also the fact, or you don't have a kid as well around, the boy might not talk about this bit, but I'm sure his partner had just had a child. And
maybe,
and he had to miss the show because it was a real shame when they were in Australia?
Yeah,
Perth, yeah. They were there, and it was like, everyone was excited for him to be on that show. And then the combination of things were like,
didn't work out. Yeah. I just, it's increasingly, there are details put, like the other one I was getting really excited for the other week was the first time you put Rhea and Jey Uso back together ahead of the Judgment Day split. Like the first time you had them do the little wink and nod to each other, because that's going to matter very, very shortly when Sami and Jey are going for the tag belts. And
Vince has spent a lot of time building a writer's room full of TV writers and then ignoring them. Completely. Like just having them there and then going, no, I'm going to do whatever I want. This is what TV writers do. They look at these details, they track things, so you might then one day use it in a story down the line. This is like the whole MO of like television series.
Yeah, for sure.
There's callbacks and they like think about what has
the
happened
guts
to
say
these
no.
characters.
You can't do that with that character because that character wouldn't do that. Okay, then we'll
like,
try something
else. And it definitely feels like this
have
is the
their
first
own
time they're being listened to.
Exactly. And these characters have their own identities, so they have ways they would behave. A lot of not dumb baby faces these days. We've seen a lot of examples like where they've actually learned. Damian Priest is probably the latest one of like, these guys watch the show. Or like, I'm keeping an eye on the show that's going on. I'm not a complete idiot. Probably a few cases where you could argue maybe it still happens, but like sometimes you have to accept that for the narrative to continue, there's going to have to be a lapse. And they can maybe explain it away. The one thing you always mention as well of like, sometimes you'll go around the houses to get there, but you bet your ass Paul Levesque will go deep to try and find one little nugget.
I love it.
That makes something that could seem completely like nothing. Well, actually, do you know, like in NXT, there was this one thing, and he'll find it. He'll sit up and find it. That man loves wrestling and wrestling history. So when it's his own, can you imagine? He's checking it.
That's it. It's a little pat on the back for himself.
Of course it is. It's like tell you that he planned it. He didn't, but he's found it. And he's put it together.
Matt Gould says, I feel bad for Dominic Mysterio. Thank you for donating, Matt. I feel bad for Dominic Mysterio because Rhea is going to kill him. The longer he's a cowardly heel, the more he feels like the spiritual successor for Eddie. Hopefully this helps. The donation absolutely helps, Matt. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's quite nice that Dominic gets to be both, doesn't he? Because he gets the Rhea stuff whenever they want to use it, but people love Nick Harrison, especially with the mullet and the tash and all that as well now, but being this slimy little creep. It's what a position to be in where you've got this beloved, like, sort of late Eddie Guerrero as you little, all right, wanker me. But Ray's right there whenever you want to do them. Whenever they get in the ring, and it's just
think about like the nuclear heat he was already getting at every show, and he was with Rhea, and he was with the Judgment Day. Then he's betrayed one of their favourites, and now he's with Liv, and they've got chemistry out the ass again. And I'm like, how is he ever going to speak on a microphone? How is he ever going to successfully speak? There's no reason. Probably one of the reasons he's on that tape, and it's the big reveal, which is unbelievable, by the way, where it's Finn Balor zooms out to show the whole thing. They look amazing together. The 5 of them, or the 6 of them, or whatever. Can't eat with his apple. I'm still here, guys. I've got the apple from the learning tree.
How's this happened?
I'm still here. Have I still got a job? Not like in WWE. I mean, in the Judgment Day. I'm not trying to get rid of him. But the point I'm trying to make, in the long-winded way, is like they look amazing. He probably had to be on there because if you put him in the ring, you'd not have heard a word he would have said that night. Not one.
Reminds me of The Rock leaving, a lofty comparison, I know. Reminds me with Rhea Ripley, right? When The Rock left the corporation, not even getting cheered for months, and he finally, like, Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon turned him whatever, and it's like, now the fans can be fully uncorked. They always had to be like, but he's fighting Steve Austin.
Yeah.
They've been dying to cheer him, and now they can't. That's happened with Rhea Ripley. There was one last dilution of that pop, and it was just because she was still with Dom.
Yeah.
Now he's out the way. You get what you got on Monday, where it's like, she's just ours. She's fully 100% baby face. We can trust her. We can rely on her, the whole thing.
And that's the other thing, pulling the trigger on these things instead of stubbornly sticking with the character because you think, no, we want them to be a face.
Yeah.
Like, just let go
Listening
with
to the crowd,
Yeah.
seeing timing is right.
I get
And using
angrier.
that time at your advantage.
I get angrier at those, especially like the last, I would say, 5 years, but really the 20, but especially I would say 2017 to 2021. I think about that stuff, or I'll watch a clip. I get pretty pissed off about it. Like, what were we doing living through something that bad?
We weren't doing anything. It wasn't our fault. Wasn't our fault, pal.
This is probably appropriate that I've just seen Matt Rains leave a comment for Josh that now feels like it's me that says dance, puppet, dance. So thank you very much for that, Matt, and all your continued support. Should we move
While
back
you're
to the...
scrolling, I'll just go with John Cato has obviously done this a while ago as
I
well.
feel like I want a laptop.
Final one from me. Seeing as Nicholas brought up The Rock not being self-aware, obviously commented this quite a while ago. How do you think he came across in the
Still
WrestleMania
relevant,
doc?
Phil.
Definitely
Still
WrestleMania.
relevant.
How do you think The Rock came across in the WrestleMania doc? I thought he even spent all of that trying to put himself over as the guy who came up with the pivot. He definitely didn't.
He absolutely did. No, go on, do it again, uninterrupted.
That's how I think The Rock came across.
I often have stints away from Twitter just because he's just, it's nice to have it when you want it.
Yeah.
As soon as I watched this documentary, I put my wellies on and I went straight into the sludge because I was like, people must have watched this and thought, what an absolute bellend. And sure enough, the internet did not disappoint. The amount of it's whenever he's got the glasses on, it's like the glasses have got a headpiece in with a earpiece for him somehow, and someone's feeding him the robot rock lines. Not to be confused, of course, with the great Daft Punk track. No. But he's just sitting there and he's like, so I just thought, we've got to pivot. Things have got to change. And the most important thing is you've got to listen to the fans. Kiss my ass. If you thought for a second you could have powered through, you would have done it. And F them. You would. What am I saying? Fuck them. You would have done it. Of course you would have. But the one thing I will say, it wasn't his idea. It definitely wasn't his idea. But the fact that he actually did it and did by hook or by crook, the fact that he didn't just selfishly go through with it, is great for now. But you are gonna get that receipt. That's what he gave Cody. Don't ever break my heart again, pal. It's the receipt. Because I want the main event.
Pinning him next year.
I'm going to pin you in 8 seconds next year, bitch. You ever heard of the rock bottom? You're about to hit rock bottom.
Ever heard of the people's elbow?
Yeah.
God, yeah. Eric Rowan backstage.
Yeah.
Cody, I got some bad news.
But
WrestleMania doesn't go well.
Run. You got to go, man.
Also, you got to think why this documentary took so long to get out.
Yeah.
That was because it was going through the Rock's team for a while.
And for anybody who didn't know the fact that it was literally advertised to be out the following Wednesday after Mania.
Straight away.
And it just did not appear until just then. How many times did he have to sit down and look over what Triple H had said first and then go, don't know about that. All of his sit-down interview bits, I almost imagine, were after that deadline.
Yeah.
He said,
There's that bit where...
he's lucky he was great. He's lucky he was great in all of his segments.
It's theoretically a nice moment, but just because of everything we know about these two men in particular, there's that bit where Triple H invites Rock to that new thing they've got set up as part of the TKO deal.
Yeah.
And they've put a really nice picture of Rocky Johnson in a
Really
frame,
lovely,
and they've dug out the original tag belt.
Are you about to say what I want?
They have the picture together and the sort of shit. And honestly, you would look at this picture of the two of them. Thanks,
Best
Paul.
friends.
Thanks, Dwayne. And if you can see from behind, they've both got knives in the back, and it's who's going to stab? It's a remarkable bit of footage seeing the two of them together, isn't it?
Not as remarkable for me though. That I was crying, laughing because it was late at night. I decided to watch it, so I had my headphones on, and the window was open to get some air in. And I can't even imagine what anybody who's listening must have heard when he goes, "Would I be able to? Would you mind if I just got a picture with the belt?" He's putting the belt on. Was his dad's belt?
Yeah.
He puts the belt on, and they get the picture. And he's like, "It'd be really cool to get a picture." So they're doing it. Oh, thanks. He's getting them emotional. He's doing Cody. By the way, I'm not hating on it. But, it's his dad. I'm sure he probably was emotional, but he's also an actor allegedly.
Yeah.
But the fact that he held the belt and continued to carry the belt on more of the tour is just like, I can imagine Triple H going, you got to give that back, right? What is he? What? Someone needs to tell Dwayne Johnson. He is a billionaire probably at this point, right? He's got to be up there.
Yeah, he's got to be up there.
Got to be up there. He's a billionaire. He's massive, right? Jacked guy. Got loads of things going on, business-wise, all that sort of thing. You've done enough. Like, you don't need to have a belt on, mate. I'm sure you're a very hard man. I'm sure you're very strong and big. What are you doing?
I will never forget this, right? As Wilborn loves the night one main event, right? I have mixed feelings on the match, if I'm honest.
I know what you're going to say.
However, so I was so in the...
Because I was saying the same thing to Wilborn.
I was so in the wrestling bubble rather than the WWE bubble that weekend, attending all the indie shows and stuff. That
We weren't together, by the way.
Yeah, so like it was only WrestleMania kind of where we and the live show and all that. So I'd been going to a gazillion indie shows and it was amazing. But as a result, the Hall of Fame was
Actually,
like...
literally none of us were together for WrestleMania, were we?
No, we weren't. We were all
So
sat in
funny.
completely
You
different
were in
places.
the press
Yeah.
bit. You were with Nick. Because I was with the boys.
Yeah.
So like... So yeah, me and Nick had been to all these different shows and that, and it was like, oh, the Hall of Fame's nice, but that's going to be after for when I get home. I'm a completist, but I can watch it when I get home. And there was two things that struck me. Number one was like, if he leaves those trousers on, I'm leaving. Like, I don't need to see the result because The Rock's already the loser. He needs to tear them trousers away right now. And
You better have black trunks under there.
I was getting it like, I need a full Monty off, like they need to be tearaways, otherwise we got a big problem. He walks out with that belt, and I hadn't seen the Hall of Fame, and the sentiment was a lie. He wanted his own belt, but like none of that. I was like, you can't just fucking do that to him. And it's like him and Roman leaving with the belts together. I was like, what the hell is even there? Like the entrance, it's unacceptable. Like Roman Reigns is the world champion, and Cody Rhodes is ready to die for that belt in 24 hours time. Seth's got the other one.
In a year where you've already made another belt to try and make this better for Seth,
And
you've just pulled one out, that rabbit out the hat.
So like Rock's, so Cody shouldn't have a belt in that visual because that's the one over Roman's shoulder. All of this is about that. But then Rock's like, what if all three of us have belts? Am I right? Could he not be like underneath Seth Rollins in his own mind or something? It was bizarre. If you hadn't seen the Hall of Fame, it was such a bizarre moment.
Even if you had seen the Hall of Fame, it's still a bizarre moment.
Though, again, for maybe a little mark against the old PLE, Hall of Ek era.
Nice.
That's not mine. They definitely said that. I'm almost sure that's why he's done that, actually. Honestly, it's a premium live event, I swear.
Like GFW sounds quite a lot like Jeff W if you say it fast enough.
But I think, like, all that took, why was there not just a video package that showed me that he got that belt? Like, on the show that I'm watching.
Yeah.
A proper one.
Like, WWE smack you over the head with everything. Michael Cole can't stop it. Like, turns out, actually, some people really need it, and it's good. But, like, just show me one clip. Say, like, even in the text, I'm not going to be able to hear Michael Cole, but have it say, like, he got the belt last night.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, and then I would have laughed and said, is he coming out with the belt? And then he comes out and I would have laughed rather than going, has he just made his own belt up? And I'm going, I was literally going mad. I was going, you can't just fucking do that.
You can't.
I was like, it's wrestling business. You've made, that means the belts mean nothing, you fucking clown. What are you doing? And don't tell me this is best. I was going mad. And they're all laughing at us. They're like, it's just,
You're so right. That's the point of it. You cannot just invent a prize because then what's the point of the other prizes? Like
we've only just recovered from the fact they did have to make the one up for Seth as well, and he'd done a good job to get it that far as well.
Yep.
Unbelievable, man. I just don't get it. Someone needs to give him a hug. Just give him a hug.
Just give him a hug.
Matt Reigns is fighting with his matches of the year.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
He's gone for
Is it you versus Matt Reigns?
Well, I didn't want to say that, Phil, but now that you have, it would surely be up there. What a clash it was.
Yeah.
It was,
Who won again?
I might have edged it, but it's that Shawn Michaels Undertaker video package where I feel like Matt Reigns is just going to drop. I can beat you,
I can
Hamflett,
beat you,
and
damn
like,
it.
I'll put money on it in Las Vegas. He'll drop all that. No,
You're a winner.
he's gone for Sting's retirement match. MJF versus Will Ospreay, of course. None of us mentioned that. The 59-minute on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Takeshita Darby, agree with you that. And I love this. Just one more WrestleMania story to share. He said Priest Drew, just the cash-in at WrestleMania for the bestie vibes because myself and Matt were just a section apart. Right? And you know when you just catch somebody's eye in a moment. Priest's music, so the Judgment Day music hitting as Punk has just taken the brace off.
He's done the meme in real
I'm
life.
just trying not to black out at this point, basically. And I look across the mat and we share and it's like, it's happening. It's happening now. Yeah. That was a very personal WrestleMania moment across the yeah.
What have I got? Smudger by name says, sorry if this has already been asked, but
And
with
by
Cena's
nature?
retirement tour, could you see him doing a run in NXT? And then he posits John Cena versus Joe Hendry, which, to be fair, Joe Hendry doing a sub version of would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be.
Like, I wish Wilborn was here. It's just a fantasy book. 20 NXT matches.
Yeah. Cena, he would do it.
He will work a
He
show.
would probably
He
do
will
it.
do it. If he's not, he might not wrestle it.
I think he would turn up and then
I'm
wrestle
saying he
the following
would,
week.
but I
Yeah.
think he'd definitely be on one, like on the show,
Yeah.
for sure.
Who do you think is a Cena guy? Like a guy that Cena would like to wrestle on NXT? Like,
I think he would gleefully lay down for Trick Williams.
Trick Williams.
That was the one that
Yeah.
jumped out. He wants to do what's right for the business. I think Cena would be great on NXT if you have a heel that's like not yet in the title picture but making waves.
Joe Coffey.
And Rock loves him, so what do I know? Like, well, he doesn't love him that much. He got him tequila from Tesco's rather than his own personal range. But
Where's the man I mate?
if it's me and there's any synergy here, and you've got next year's Tuesday Night War,
Right.
you bring Cena in the week before, you have him have a little skirmish with whichever heel is there or thereabouts. Could all changes in a year, and then you book the match for the following week where you're going up against Dynamite, John Cena wrestling, and then the result honestly could go either way. You can. I cannot wait for the Cena run. I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if it's a new, in terms of like, if he turns up and it's just Cena wins lol. It's like a one last year of Cena wins lol, but he's
got to win some, isn't he?
But he's actually beloved by
it's
people.
just him versus Randy Orton another 20 times.
To be fair though, people have like, I know.
I was going to say no, dear, that's wrong, but I just
like he is going to have to win a few of these, and as long as he's putting on good matches and exciting matches, people are into
He
him.
won everything in the Open Challenge, the US Open Challenge thing, back when it was like against Cesaro and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and things, and they were great matches. That was a great one.
And in fairness, I know like some people's, that was me just getting back in, so I hadn't been back in that long. So watching that was my. So imagine me being like, I know we all hate Cena, I know we all, but I'm watching that going like, these are all guys I want to see in these matches because I'm still wet behind the ears. I haven't become jaded yet, and I'm watching like. You know, you got your Dean Ambrose in there. You got your Zack Ryder in there as well.
Yeah.
You
look good matches.
Cesaro.
Yeah.
There's a few of them that were just absolutely killer, and I'm like, this is literally for me.
Yeah.
I had just come back in, and I was getting to see the showcase of
Cody.
This
I
is
think he
Cena.
fought.
Quite
Fought
possibly.
Cody on a roll,
Or would he have been Stardust
Good point.
in that
actually.
era? I think it was
Might have been
Stardust,
Stardust,
actually.
yeah.
I think it was.
Hell of a match, though.
Yeah, it would have been a great match. But all these guys who are underappreciated, he'll be trying to get them out. I would love something similar. Has he got it in his pocket? I don't know.
We were talking
wait and
before we
find out.
came in the office, came in the studio, sorry. Cena's never won the IC title.
He hasn't.
And they got a very nice story out of Sheamus wanting one more match against Gunther to try and get it done. That feels like an achievable goal where you can center an entire pay-per-view around Cena winning that title and then putting somebody else over to lose it.
Yeah.
It's not just a match for match's sake. It's not just like Cena working his last Rumble is a reason for the Rumble to exist. Cena's last WrestleMania has got to be huge, all that sort of stuff. But they've opened the door to a raft of like individual show-specific stories that they can tell. It's going to be one of the stories of 2025, I think, regardless of the quality
Also,
of the
Cena
matches.
versus Braun Breaker is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, like you sense that if he's committing that much to it, he's gambling obviously his health, but he's willing to suffer the injuries and he's for the most part he's had a couple of big injuries, but for the schedule he used to keep.
Yeah, he's not done bad.
In relative terms, he's done all right. So he must fancy that he's got this last big year in him. I can't wait. I think it's going to be one of the big things of next year.
Me too. Matt Gold just says, hopefully this helps with the donation. Thank you very much,
Thank
Matt.
you, Matt.
It definitely does. GDF says, can we see The Rock? Oh, maybe we should save this one for getting back. So Larry Rabb is back. Thank you very much again, Larry.
Larry.
He says, who in WWE can put on a match that is as good as Ospreay versus Danielson?
Ospreay versus
Gunther versus Cody.
Gunther versus Cody.
I'm
understand.
fascinated for whenever they get around to that.
Yeah.
It'll be a while, obviously, because they're in very different places.
Stylistically, it's probably Gunther and Ilya.
Yes.
Like, it's probably that match. If they obviously, it's not going to be Berlin now. It's going to be Randy Orton. And by the way, I think Gunther Randy Orton could be
I'm kind of
tasty.
fascinated by that.
Me
yeah.
too. But Gunther really, they've obviously, even if you're only within the WWE bubble, the two classics they've
My
had
God.
in NXT and NXT UK, absolutely worth going out your way to see. But the history they've got in WXW as well, the styles being so similar. Elia being, we did a news story this morning on Gunther's thoughts on Timothy Thatcher not wanting to adjust his style. Elia is basically taking the Gunther model, hasn't he? He's adjusted just enough for that intense character to remain somebody that makes sense within WWE, but not have to compromise himself too much.
Added a WWE layer on top of the violence.
Yeah, I would say so. And that one feels closer to Ospreay Danielson in the sense that there will be an expectation that they will either meet or surpass.
Yeah.
And I think with Gunther, sometimes, I love him, but sometimes because it's so wild to imagine Gunther versus X, sometimes the matches don't quite hit.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest appeals of Gunther.
Yeah.
What does this look like against this guy? And Randy Orton is 100% one of them. Like, what does this look like against Randy Orton?
I don't know if the body has it, but the mind 1,000,000,000% does. Gunther Punk. Like, Punk will know how to sell for a Gunther, will know how to make you feel like that body that you believe to be brittle has just been made worse by a single chop or something like that. Like, I think they're in such a cool spot with Gunther at the moment where he is repeatedly almost like he's so part of the furniture in WWE, and yet whenever you line him up against a guy he's never faced, he feels like a brand new signing.
Yeah.
And that's such a rare quality for a wrestler to have.
100%. And just the promos between Punk and Gunther is also fascinating because they've kind of nailed the production of Gunther in this sort of latest run.
Fantastic, wasn't it?
The promos in front of the screen with the video packages behind and the way he's like explaining himself within this kind of WWE world.
Always comes back to wrestling as well.
Yeah,
He always tethers his point to
But
wrestling.
that against this version of CM Punk, the emotional guy, heart on his sleeve, will go over the top when things happen.
Yeah.
Like those are versus the cool-headed guy who's just gonna out-wrestle and slap the tits off you.
Patronise him, just saying, oh, you're getting into your petty little fights. I don't get into petty little fights. I have prize fights and I win them all. Like,
that little smirking face of Gunther laughing off CM Punk's little insults, like, I'm getting to you, and he knows it. It's going to be good.
It's so much TV to it. Like, again, Gunther is the world champion, WrestleMania at a minimum. And not that I necessarily sort of want things to be predictable, but I have no problem with him retaining through Mania.
Yeah.
Like, the Intercontinental title run was as great as it was. Copy your own homework. I do not have a problem with him. We're just saying Gunther, my feeling on watching Gunther at the moment is like he's so part of WWE's furniture, but it's like having a new signing when he comes against somebody new.
Yeah.
Like there's so many dream Gunther matches still on the table, and they've been very like disciplined and patient.
Selective with what they've chosen.
Gunther versus John Cena.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We have a question from GDF that says, can we see The Rock transition from the final boss into the Tribal High Chief?
The Tribal High Chief.
Tribal High Chief.
Oh, hi, Chief.
Hi, Chief.
Hi, Chief.
Hi, Chief. How you doing with
I'm
those
Dwayne.
spreadsheets? I don't know. Is the answer to that?
I think you need him to do a longer run to be able to get
Yes.
there. You need a 6-month run for that to.
Because you need to be on television for that as well.
worthwhile.
Like, like really there. And what's your thoughts on like a tie-in with the Solo bunch, or will they be long gone by the time the Rocky turns back on screen? What do you reckon?
Well, I was just going to say I love Tribal High Chief, by the way, because of the High Chief Peter Maivia, and he's like he can claim more of it than Roman can by blood or whatever.
Yeah, and it's bigger than what Roman Reigns had, and we know he loves that. What was his thing on the family tree?
High Chief Seuli, I think
There
it
you
was.
go.
What if he's the highest chief?
Times infinity.
Times infinity, if destroyed, still true.
We're going back to the documentary.
No takes you back to
Go back to the documentary now with the meme that's like, and I said to Vince, call it Hulkamania.
And I said to Prince Charles, no, I don't want the crown. You keep it.
I think, like, I know what you were both saying. In reality, it has to be true where The Rock's not around, so it's quite difficult to play that role. I think they want you to think he's playing it now. Like, Solo Sikoa talking a big game because he's got the silent backing of
Where's
The Rock.
he getting that?
Yeah, like,
where's he getting the gusto
where's
from?
his confidence come from? Yeah, like Roman Reigns just has come and drilled you and kind of put you in your place at SummerSlam, but you know something he doesn't know. And The Rock and Roman haven't spoken since. I can like build this picture.
You
in my
saying
head
we're
quite
getting The
easily.
Rock as the 5th member of War Games?
I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying that they won't be acting under instruction of The Rock. I think at that point they might start getting a bit more explicit with the fact that like Solo does something or whatever, and for the first time it's like just the thing he chooses to do, maybe the move he chooses, something where you go, that's the Leo DiCaprio moment of like, this is The Rock's doing.
Solo started this run by saying, like, when he was trying to get rid of Paul Heyman and things, he was like, that's by orders of the tribal chief. He didn't say who it was, he just said it was by orders of the tribal chief.
The Rock feels let down by Roman because he lost at WrestleMania.
So this is the thing. I don't know what the timelines are like, but it's let's just say the War Games match happens. Well, I mean, it has to.
Feels like it
has to. Let's just say, and I know there's versions and cases for both of these, but let's just say the OG bloodline, the originals, they win. And like the next night, is there a chance the next night where it's like, well, thank goodness we've vanquished the villains. Solo comes out and he's like, what are you doing here? You're done. I'm the tribal chief now. And he's like, no, you're not the tribal chief. He's like, you're done. He's like, I'm not talking about me. And then we get Dwayne. Dwayne arrives, kicks the crap out of Roman and anybody who is associated with him, and we head up on it. But I just don't know how long he's going to be there for. Like, what's Dwayne's picture looking like? I mean, that's by his standards, a long old shank away from Mania, isn't it?
Yep.
Long old stretch.
I love, as great as he has already been just alongside Solo, I love Jacob Fatu as the Rock's, like, hyena for hire bit. Like, that guy, like the Rock standing over a Jacob Fatu having done his damage and done his dirty work. I think that visual chemistry is incredible, quite honestly. Sure. He's helped Solo. Truthfully, Jacob Fatu has helped Solo in the month as well. His leg's all right. I hope that they
help legitimize him a bit more.
A little bit. Well, the bloodline is a threat, certainly.
Yeah.
That group are nastier because he's in it.
Be nice if he was just one of the Rock's hires, though, and he like turned on Solo just as like, it was never you. I was always waiting for him to help you.
Thing from SummerSlam as well with the injury, like reports said, like that was worked in, so he didn't have to get like physical with Roman Reigns or anything.
You don't
so
see them together. Yeah.
Like that was a hell of a sell job from him. Like that was the way he sold that was so real, and like just the anger of it.
I was really
screaming at Solo, and I think even Solo was like,
Solo's like, I can't get out of it. Yeah, so good.
This is above my pay grade.
So good.
We haven't done a SmackDown preview today because obviously this has been an extended WrestleCulture, MarcelCulture for Marcel Laviolette, but it's a nice tie-in. Roman Reigns returns on SmackDown tonight. He's going to be not just here, he's advertised for next week's SmackDown as well. There is an expected run of dates that it'll do between now and, I guess, Survivor Series, WrestleMania, whatever. Cody is on the show as well. What do we expect from Roman Reigns tonight as we're recording?
I genuinely am approaching this with no expectations because I'm like, I just trust him.
Yeah.
If he's coming back, I'm like, I don't got no expectations, but I'm excited to hear what you got to say. Genuinely, like
they will have been going over the next 6 months, the lead up to WrestleMania with him for the last 6 months.
Yeah. Do you know what he's just had a nice and a well-earned, I should point out, but he's had that nice thing we always dreamed up of, like a bit of an off season.
Yeah.
Go back, recharge the batteries, come up with the fresh ideas, have time to write it all down. Triple H and him would be on the phone plenty. Him and old Paul writing out like what we're doing for this story. Yeah. Paul Heyman again hasn't had to be at TV, so he'll be in penning. It's gonna be whatever it is. It's gonna be good.
Tonight is history. Tonight is the first time that Roman Reigns will appear on television as an organically over babyface.
Yeah.
Never
it's very true.
The forced prospect that gets half the divisive reaction, the next John Cena, all this. This is tonight.
Dreams can come true.
It just takes 10 years. 10 years. Seth turned on a Shield at 10 years ago.
Actually, I think you'll find the reason it's all happening today is because Paul Levesque was in the main event of WrestleMania 32.
You really got him there, didn't you?
You really got him over the finish line there, actually, I think you'll find.
And again,
I
I loved Cody. I don't know if you saw in the press conference after SummerSlam, Cody's repetition of the line he used when he won the Rumble, when I think some reporter asked, like, Roman's back, it's how do you feel? And he was like, same as what I said then, I'm not flinching.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool because that's not him talking as the WWE champion off the telly. That's him talking about the guy that has claimed the top spot.
Babyface, yeah.
And Jim Ross used to talk about the Attitude Era Shark. I love the story that all of them tell about Austin. Rock's not going to get over telling those nursery rhymes. Yeah. Is he not now, Steve? Aye. Is it aye?
Okay, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
You want that. Like, not to make it toxic.
Competitive edge. No.
You want the Shark Tank.
There's a difference between toxicity and a competitive edge.
Yeah.
Like, greatness equals greatness
It
is
does
what I've
indeed.
heard. That's what I've heard. Iron sharpens iron, and those two, you guarantee he's not going anywhere. Cody's not going to go anywhere. However, the one thing you would say is, though, it's Roman. Like, you've literally just said it yourself there. You've been here for 2 years, and it's been a great project. This motherfucker we've been trying to get over for 10 years. If you think we're going to throw him in the bin now because you've got blonde hair and you look like Homeland, I don't think so, pal. But it's great. You can have them both, and then let them make the crowd decide who's the guy. It was fascinating when Punk had to go one-on-one with Cody, just in a promo to see if the fans would immediately go like, "Oh no, forget about Cody. What about Punk? What about Buzz Lightyear?"
The Simpsons meme of pushing the cheap out the way for the baby sheep.
But none of that's happened. And then you've not even got the wrinkle of once those two, between Cody and Roman, you got CM Punk there who's like, well, I'm not going to be quiet.
I haven't had my main event yet.
And you got Seth, who's not going to be quiet and who's been like completely flourishing in this role of I am not allowed to back down against this lunatic. Like shoot and work.
Gunther kicks the door down and points at the belt he's wearing.
Like,
I think you'll find that I'm the guy. Like
oh my god, I actually want to watch that video package now. Like, in a row. That's got to be it. Oh my god.
I don't know how many comments you've got there, Phil.
I got 2 more, but they're quick ones.
Do we do a quiz after that?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to. We're going to have to get that bloody quick. So Dewdrop Lives says, really hope everything gets better. God bless you. That is it. Thank you very much for your donation.
Thank you for the donation.
And Victor Bettino says, best wishes, my friend. So thank you for your donation as well. I think that's all I've got.
Thank you for everybody who's helped
100%
Marcel for this live stream, man. I'm really over the moon with how much money's been coming in to go. All of that again will be going to his GoFundMe. We are probably going to be. We've got another, just over 15 minutes to go. So if anybody else would like to contribute, big or small, any way you can help out,
like
please do.
Every little helps.
Every little helps. Pennies do literally make pounds. So
yeah. And this quiz shouldn't take long.
Oh, sorry, cents make dollars.
Cents make dollars.
Cents make dollars.
Cents make dollars. Well, I guess then it's time for a
Bloody good quiz.
And today's quiz is sponsored by Marcel Laviolette. It's MarcelCulture.
Well done. Look at you.
Look at him. So
now,
sentimental.
I've got to say, before we get started, and I realise this will be counter to the point I'm about to make, is we have 15 minutes.
We do.
So no time for pissing about.
No. All right. It should be a quick one.
No, I'm not suggesting.
It's got that
talking
going
to us two. We're going to be answering the questions.
That's good, because I remember I forgot David Esposito's question from earlier on, so we'll sneak that in before we finish.
You see?
It's fine, because there's only actually 3 answers to any of these questions.
Ooh,
and there's
good.
no...
I thought there's only 3 questions.
There's 10 questions, but there's only 3 answers to each of them, and there's no options, because basically, it's the generation game. What is better than CM Punk versus Samoa Joe at All In?
Nice. Okay.
Is it better, is it worse, or is it the same?
Ooh, I like this.
In terms of Dave Meltzer.
Dave Meltzer. So they're all Phil's ratings.
Is this No, you idiot.
And I can change my mind while
I'll change my mind. Depends how you look at me when you answer.
I love this.
So, we start with WrestleMania 14. Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels.
What, better or worse?
Better or
3.
worse,
5?
or the same.
Or the same. Oh, okay. I don't know. You did say that. He told me the rules and I just didn't listen. I was too busy drinking coffee.
So
Nicholas.
We'll pick a different one each
Higher
time.
or lower?
Oh, higher.
Well, you still shout out your name.
This is a different game now, Phil. Higher or lower, all the same.
Still shout out your name.
Nicholas.
And it's just for fun, obviously.
It's just for fun.
Well, it's just for Marcel.
It's just for Marcel.
It's not for fun, actually. It's for Marcel.
It's for Marcel.
It's for donation.
It's for money, actually.
Yeah, it's for cash.
It's a money for Marcel. But yeah, same. Please, Jeff.
No, dear, that's wrong.
I will go slightly lower. Sean had a broken back, didn't he? So he was still a fucking man, but I'll go lower.
But his cock was working fine. Yeah. So.
Yay!
Hey!
You got 3.25 stars.
3.25.
They tried their best, but Sean is visibly in agony the entire time. Yeah, the drugs are wearing off.
No, the drugs don't work.
Moving over to a better time in wrestling and Crown Jewel 2021.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg. Falls count anywhere.
Actually, no, was this not quite?
This was the best of.
Yeah, of the matches they had. Was that the one?
21 was this not the one that ended in DQ when like Lashley
one.
just snapped on him or something?
Well, no, because it was a
Falls count anywhere.
false count. Anyway.
Of course, yes, it would have been.
Is this the one where Bill beats him and he kicks his ass? I can't remember because it was false count anyway, and that's how they.
I have no more information on the match.
Hamflett. I'll go lower.
No, dear, that's wrong.
Oh, now though, I've still got 2 choices. I'm
This
going
is
to
disgraceful
tell you what.
already, by the way.
I tell you what. In the interest of speed, I'm going down the middle for all. The same, please, Jeff.
No, dear, that's
It
wrong.
was higher.
Kiss my ass, Dave.
It got 3.75 stars. It was officially better than CM Punk versus Samoa Joe.
I like this
He's
game
going to
a lot.
have a real sad face by the end of this one, isn't he?
Yes. What the scores? 1-0 to Hamflett.
2-0?
That's the scores.
Just 1-0.
1-0.
1-0. Yeah, you got it wrong because he's an idiot. Taking you back now to King of the Ring 1998. And it's not the match you think I'm going to say. It's Shamrock versus The Rock.
Yes.
I
Better
do
or
actually
worse?
remember.
Tournament final, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
But okay, yeah. Big angle. Before it, earlier in the. You just shut up, Am. You shut your mouth. Go on, Nicholas. See him. I'm just standing on the middle.
No, dear,
for the
that's
whole
wrong.
thing, which I feel like is not going to work very well. But whatever.
Dave won't have gone as high on this as he did 3.5, so I'll say lower than Punk Joe.
Yay!
His nickname for Dwayne at the time was Chin Rock because he relied a lot on that to get him through.
Yeah, that is right. He got
Problematic,
3.25 stars.
3.2.
It was worse than Samoa Joe versus CM Punk, I'm afraid.
Sorry,
Ken Shamrock.
sorry, guys, it was worse than one of the best matches of last year.
Sorry,
All right, next up.
at Wembley.
This one's just for you.
Okay.
'Cause
All right
it's Jeff Jarrett versus China in the Good Housekeeping match at No Mercy 1999.
Here, man, right. I'm going to say that Jeff and China's higher because I would say Punk and Joe is 4.5 stars, and I would say Jeff and China is 4.25, like in my ratings. But Dave will have gone 3.75 for Good Housekeeping, I think. Higher.
No, dear, that's wrong.
The same, please, Jeff.
No, dear, that's wrong.
Lower.
It was lower,
Lower.
3.25 stars.
I love that match.
Dave doesn't like women. Next up. John Cena versus Wade Barrett in a chairs match from TLC 2010. Good era. Good era.
Great time to
Great
be a
era.
wrestling fan.
Great era. I loved those chairs matches on those TLC pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Thing, doesn't he, where he
Way
drops?
better than the
He
ladder
pulls them
matches
off
and the
with
table
that
matches.
Like a metal thing
Yeah.
that Wade's underneath.
Good stuff.
Hamflett higher. God damn it.
3.75 stars.
That's-
from John
that
Cena
is-
Did you
versus
pick these
Wade
matches,
Barrett.
Phil? Just out of curiosity.
I just looked at them and thought which ones were the funniest that it was higher.
So you just had the list all in order.
Yeah,
That
cage
makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know what the score is. 3-0. There you go.
Just for fun.
Just
and
for
for
fun.
money.
No, the only fun I want is to get one that's the same. That's all I'm here
Yeah,
for.
that's
There you
fair.
go. Next up,
It's actually not for fun, guys. I don't know if you remember. This is for money and for Marcel. So
another good era.
Stop trying to
Stomping
have fun.
ground of 2019. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns.
yeah,
Remember the match?
sugar.
The building had 3 sides.
It was
A big curtain
yep,
across
and
that.
it certainly
hardcore
did.
Side. Hamflett. I think he thought Drew and Roman was better than Punk and Joe.
Yeah,
It was all right. It was all right, actually. Yeah, they had
Better
good
than Punk
chemistry, those
versus
two.
Joe. Actually, I think you'll find.
Yep.
The,
Says it right here.
Oh, it just says so.
You can't argue.
It was
that.
no graveyard dogs, Drew and Shane.
Listen, it is. It
Can't
is
argue with
one.
Dave Meltzer.
It's one man's opinion, so he's obviously correct. That's
Yeah.
it.
what
You
we're
should
told.
shut up.
Yeah.
How it works. 4-0, I think, maybe. 4-0. Next up, I'm going to take you back now to Money in the Bank 2017. Another funny era. Drew McIntyre. Wait, no. Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton.
Nicholas, let's go the same. It'll shock you.
Hey!
Mission accomplished.
Just as good as Punk versus Joe.
It wasn't even the one where Jinder won the belt. It was the
No, it wasn't.
rematch.
No, it wasn't it?
Oh, friggin' hell. Is that the Punjabi prison match where Carly came out at the end and just took the belt? I'm the champion.
Because they said that was a load of pick. No, that was
No, that
different.
was
yeah.
different. That was This Is Money in the Bank.
That would have been battleground. They're 3
Yeah,
pay-per-views.
yeah,
God
yeah.
damn it, man. Stop talking. I get angry thinking about it.
I
What are
was
you doing to me?
literally in London watching this, and I was watching. It was being rumored that Randy Orton was going to lose it. And it was like, there's no way, surely. And it pulled. And it was so funny watching Great Khali with the belt, and then all the pictures backstage. He was the one with the belt on.
Yeah.
Jinder pointing at him. It's like, he knows he's not the champ, right? He knows he didn't.
He's gonna
win
take
the
it off
belt.
him.
Yeah. He's like, can't take it off. It's his now.
Can't reach it.
Yeah, can't reach.
Next up, 4-1, probably. It's just for fun. John Cena versus Rob Van Dam at ECW One Night Stand 2006. It's
for money.
It's for Marcel.
Cena and
Money,
RVD.
God damn it.
It's tricky when the matches are actually go today because
Nicholas, same, please.
No, dear, that's wrong.
You had a good one.
he's gone higher on Cena Van Damme. He has. That was it. Like
In ECW
an
arena?
of the, yeah, that was an of the
One Night Stand.
an of the era
Hell of a
epic that
moment.
was. Yeah,
Cena wins, we riot.
he's gone higher.
And he's gone lower.
No, dear, that's wrong.
Of course he has.
3.25
I'm alright,
stars.
wanker me.
I'm alright,
This is Rob Van Dam.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
3 point. Kiss my ass, Dave. I love you. We exist because of you, but god damn it, 3.25. You taking the piss?
That was one of my favourite ones of this.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Dudleys versus the Hardys Royal Rumble 2000 tables match.
That's really
right
good.
at the start of this epic run for those
for
three
the three
teams.
tag teams, yeah.
That match ruled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did.
Had the stipulation, didn't it, where you had to have like consecutive eliminations, which justified more tables.
Nicholas.
They had the swanton off the entranceway of Madison Square Garden
yeah.
for the tables.
Same, please.
No, dear, that's wrong.
I really thought.
It's got to be higher than Punk and Joe.
Does it?
Does it, though?
Does it?
No, dear, that's wrong.
3.25 stars for the Dudleys versus the Hardys in the tables match.
Absolutely
at the Royal
blowing
Rumble
my mind.
2000.
Your quizzes always deliver, Phil, but as usual, I'm going to sit on the train and just stare out the window.
What a guy.
It's going to be so
the moral
mad
of
for
this
the rest of the
story
night.
is don't listen to one guy.
Yeah, obviously.
Listen
Don't
to
listen to
three.
him. Yeah, don't not listen to him. Listen to Dave Meltzer.
So finally, I have no idea what the score is, but Hamflett has won.
Oh, he's definitely
and
won.
It's just for fun. Marcel's won,
It's
really.
for money, actually, but there you go.
We are going to end this with a classic, all-time classic, I would say. Elias versus
get the feeling
Jackson
it's not gonna be
Riker,
a classic.
Symphony of Destruction match on Raw in 2021.
God.
Those Symphony, the one that I always think I want to hear, Symphony of Destruction, is Nakamura taking a bump on a shoot piano.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this wasn't that. This
What
was
the hell
Elias
was even
versus
there?
Jackson Riker.
Why?
I mean,
Nicholas, come on. Here we go. Same, please.
No, dear, that's
you've done
Sorry.
me so many times with the higher that now it's like, now Hamflett's going to say lower, and I'm going to say higher, and I'm going to fall right into his trap.
you see.
It's got to be lower than Punk and Joe.
You felt alright, it's in my trap. It's better than Punk versus Joe, Elias versus Jackson Riker on
God.
Raw in a Symphony of Destruction match.
It's a brilliant quiz.
Dave Meltzer, eh?
Dave,
God
big
love
Dave.
him.
We would normally end it there, but I want to get in one more question
Oh, we
while
got
there's still
10.
time for you to
We've got
donate.
5
We've
minutes.
got about
We've
like
got
5
5
minutes to
Quick
go.
quiz, there you go.
David Esposito sent us a message the other day, and he did donate at the start of the chat, and I said I would get back to this. I hope you're still with us, David, but if not, you'll still be able to watch it. It's going to be on YouTube forever. He sent us a message to say, once a year, I make a point to spoil myself and loved one by seeing a live event and getting as close as possible to the stage. Last year, my youngest son and I sat front row for Blood and Guts. This year, to celebrate my younger brother's 40th birthday, I'll be missing Dynamite so we can sit front row for Green Day and the Smashing Pumpkins at Boston's Fenway Park. You were living a good life,
Hell yeah.
David.
Very
the
good.
stadium where the Red Sox present their imitation of a professional baseball team. Because it's the 30th anniversary of Green Day's Dookie and the 20th anniversary of American Idiot, the band are playing both albums in their entirety. This,
Oh my
You've had a great night, David.
That's good.
This got me thinking, in keeping with the theme of major milestones overlapping, which 40th, 30th, 20th, and 10th anniversary pro wrestling shows would you like a front row seat for? And then he gives you could be the first WrestleMania, you could be WrestleMania 30. He's appealing to me here. Royal Rumble 1994 with Bret and Luger in the finish. Or are there any wrestling cards that celebrate an anniversary this year you'd like to see a modern wrestling roster recreate, like a band playing its albums? I think it's 2 questions there. We've only got 5 minutes. We'll keep it simple. Front row. If you could go back in time and pick one, and it has to just be one that you could be front row for, what are you taking?
I'll tell you what, just keep it simple. When I first came back to watching wrestling, I was in my bed watching it for WrestleMania 31, electrified out of my mind watching Seth Rollins cash in on... I was so electrified, I forgot his name. Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'd been having just come back to wrestling and had somehow managed to land that show, and that's the reward that I got for it. Off the back of Seth doing that insane RKO with Randy in the open part of the night, and me somehow not cottoning on to the fact that we're going to do a cash in the main. Like, why did I forget about that?
Yeah.
Why? Well, because I hadn't been watching for ages. If I'd be in the middle of that, I would be on it for life. You're talking about like getting the kids hooked on cigarettes. I wasn't even a kid, and I'd be like, yeah, come on then, give me the pack right now. I would definitely have done that. I think maybe.
On that, then maybe
I
you've
would
got
definitely have done that. Maybe.
maybe have a think about this, but it might already be the answer. When he says about the album tours that bands do now, if a modern wrestling company could recreate an old show or like an old night with an old vibe, beat for beat, I guess sort of like One Night Stand in a way. The first One Night Stand, they kind of did a good job with that. Would that be the show? Would like 31 be the show you'd pick because of that?
No.
Sort of no.
I would love to have been in and around in any way, shape, or form anything that Punk and MJF did. Like, or if not that, just the when Punk and MJF, Jesus Christ, Punk and Kingston,
Yes.
like, holy smokes. What show was it?
So it was Rampage where they had the face-to-face, and then it was Full Gear 2021.
Full Gear was stuff. Yeah. Full Gear also had.
Hangman winning the belt off Kenny.
I just wanted you to have to say it out loud because
it might have been outside of Punk MJF the peak of the whole company.
That one for
when
me.
you think about it, like
that's me.
You got that. MJF Punk was maybe the sort of like what is it, the post-credit sequence of AEW's critical peak. Perhaps.
It was a very, very, very great time.
Yeah.
Oh, AEW, I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty special, wasn't it?
I love Hangman Page.
First Up Dookie was the album that got me into punk rock.
Ah, nice.
Which is very good.
Well,
yeah. Before that, I had no idea what this world was, and my friend brought me Dookie one day to school, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? It's fucking great." And
Goodbye, NSYNC.
Go get out
Hello,
of here.
Dookie.
NSYNC. The cover's so arresting when you see it the first
Get
time.
out of here, Eminem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good fun. And then what? Wrestling. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Front row.
Front row.
David said anniversaries, but I think it's fair to.
Yeah, just front row in general. King of the Ring '98, because
Good shout.
front row specifically right behind the announcers.
Yeah,
so you could
but you
literally
would've
see Mick Foley collapsing at you.
Yeah.
That view would have been nuts.
Yeah,
like that's
shout,
just that as a visual. Holy cow! But as running a show back, it's be the 25th anniversary next year, I guess. But the Royal Rumble 2000.
Yeah, like
literally my favorite match of all time.
big tables opener, big bloody brawl for the belt.
China versus Chris Jericho, which was actually a lot of fun.
Bring
Jack
Big Show back from
Triple
AEW to put him in the Rumble against The Rock.
Against The Rock.
Who can win his title shot, yeah. That's scary how much they could recreate from that event.
Yeah,
like
probably not the bikini contest stuff.
No, maybe not that.
Maybe just skip that.
Rikishi got his
Too
big
cool
one in
in
the
the
Rumble.
Rumble,
Did
yeah.
you give it to a Bloodline member?
Yeah.
Where are you going with this, Phil? It's weird, right? So, like, because we've been very fortunate to see a little bit of the, like, Fed Hot American Summer years, Clash at the Castle through to WrestleMania.
Taz Kurt Angle as well.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my
Sorry.
Oh my
God.
God.
I'm going to go to AEW as well. I'm going to go to that same golden era. It would be the first dance, the Rampage where Punk returned. Stayed up to watch that live, and it really was stupid. 3 o'clock in the morning, I think. I'd already was popping and vibrating because there was a Dudley Boys sign that emerged amongst the crowd at the United Center.
Forever on the same night.
I watched that entrance of Punk's every couple of weeks, probably. The black hoodie and just as he reveals the white T-shirt and Excalibur's incredible line about, you waited 7 years, you can wait 3 more minutes, you know, and he does the stage dive when that didn't create all sorts of problems. It's perfect. It is that return, the way they built to it, the way that it was executed, Punk's promo, that's it. That's like, it's why I flippantly say sometimes I don't need a match, because sometimes the match isn't the best thing. And that Punk return.
Totally agree.
Like in Chicago and in a white hot building for him, like God had returned to earth. Like, I don't think I'm overstating that. That energy in that building was like,
was he ever here, Mike?
they could not believe what they were looking at, and yet he continued to talk and continue to share. And then he points up at the rafters, and Darby Allin and Stinger there, and it's like, he's not just here.
I know, I was there.
I'm
watching it.
I'm talking it through, but yeah, you see the people front row.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm envious of them because they can't control their emotions.
I would have been that guy that everyone called out, the CM Punk crying guy. That would have
100%.
been you.
Yeah. Crying and vomiting. Yeah, just like
vomiting, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that really kind of sums up to me how like red hot, even prior to Punk as well, because they'd made that little run of like, well, they were about to announce that little run of like wild signings, if you recall correctly. It was like, because I actually saw when I was looking for some Wilborn related stuff for his birthday yesterday, went through old tweets, that little CM Punk smirk. You're going to have to wait a couple more weeks for Danielson.
Oh my God.
What?
Come on now.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah.
And then you got like Danielson and
Cole on the same night.
At the same angle, at the same end of the show. What the hell?
Brian Kenny at Arthur Ashe.
There was a whole run at that point. And I remember feeling like for the first time in forever, God, I properly love wrestling. Like I can't wait to watch. I have so many other things that I love more than wrestling in my world. But at that point, it was like, no, everything's cinema. Everything.
It's 5 o'clock. We have 2 last comments, and I apologise because I have to be away shortly. But thank you very much for the donations. Just Daryl. Stick with me. A lot of talk about Cody versus Rock or Roman, but what about Seth? Should Roman's apology tour include Seth? If so, do they do a Rumble callback match and have Roman do the Shield entrance? All the best to Marcel. Yeah, Seth Rollins will, to your point earlier on, we talked about this, should be fighting his way into the conversation. He's done a lot of favours for people this year.
Yeah.
And he's kind of become Mr. Utility as a result, isn't he? So
he's good at doing them favors, and he's very good at like helping to put other people over, but with a little asterisk of like, yep, but I will get mine back, but I'm happy to sit and take a back seat for right now.
100%.
That's how the business works, isn't it? So.
He's the company guy that you want, but that will also be ready.
Yes.
to
You bet.
go for himself.
He
when
will get
when
his,
needs
yeah.
He
to.
wants to be the ball carrier, but
Yeah.
if he can't be the ball carrier, you bet he's going to throw you the best pass you've ever seen.
Yes, yeah. One from Andy, the last donation for YouTube. Thank you very much, Andy. And we do go longer on this exact conversation point. If you want to scrub back on your browser, you'll find us going into a bit more detail about this. People disparage Triple H for the results of Clash at the Castle, Money in the Bank, etc. But given the elevation of Priest, of Braun, of Liv, of Rhea, of Jacob Fatu, etc., was he justified in those calls? I think this is what we were talking about coming off the back of SummerSlam and the use of screwy finishes. I think was what Mimi Burris called it. How screwy is it really when you're seeing these characters get developed and raw? Like Raw of Monday as evidence of the like sort of success of the model and that sort of thing. I think Triple H should never feel more vindicated than he does right now. Absolutely. And the pressure in wrestling, as always, is to keep going. You're never allowed to stop. Yeah,
the story never ends.
That's it. How do you keep topping it?
The book that never ends.
Have we got any more comments left?
I don't
on
think
your
so.
screen, Phil?
I have nothing.
In which case,
Do the whole thing now.
I know, yes.
All right.
Thank you very much for everybody that has donated today. It's been a really, I've loved this, like a really, really special stream. All the comments, not just for the donations, but I know Marcel's been in and out the chat and everybody leaving nice remarks to him. His GoFundMe link is available on the videos. It's on all our socials. Keep donating to that whenever you want. And thank you for your donations today. Thank you very much to Josh Brown, who joined us earlier on. If you've only come on late, go back and watch the first sort of hour and a half. You get every take on Mick Foley from Josh you could ever want, and a whole lot more. He was great as well. Thank you to both of you guys. You can follow along all of us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, where you can find Adam Nicholas at
It's Adam Nicholas. You can find Phil Chambers at
Fill My Chambers, and you can follow Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett, where you can see some takes that get me in all sorts of bother about the Golden Lovers and Awesome Truth. But you can also catch us on all our various podcasts and videos and all that sort of stuff. And until next time-ish, thank you for all your donations, and we will see you soon.
That's pretty good. I mean, you made it a bit too loud at the end, but you got that was pretty
you
good.
killed everyone.
I'll give you that one. You blew out the headphones, but you know,
Thank you
good
for-
job.
Wrestling. No,
Thank you for
seriously.
donating to Marcel. It's been amazing.
Thank you,
And yes, thank
everybody
you.
who's taking the time.
So much, everyone that has donated. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
brilliant
I'm going to
fun.
go turn the stream
Yeah,
off.
you go and do
this
it.
time.
I was going to say, you can do it this time. No, genuinely, though, we really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time. It didn't even feel that long. This felt
No,
like
this has been amazing.
Much longer than usual,
we're the lucky
but
ones getting to this. Thanks for watching along.
we always enjoy it, and it's always nice to speak to people in this arena.
Say goodbye.
Bye, guys.